All right. Well, it's time. Hey. Welcome to Riconius The Podcast. This is Podconius number 4. Yay! And then I'm here with Jordan.
How's it going, everybody?
Once again.
I am Jordan.
Yeah. So this is a podcast. It's a live show. And the episode will also go up on the YouTube channel tomorrow. And yeah, it is a podcast. So if anyone is going to be in the live chat, we may not be that interactive with it unless there's something that's said that may be, something to reply to or whatever,
Yeah.
It catches our eye.
Ricardo, something's missing. Where's our special guest for the day?
We don't have one this episode, but it's okay because we're just going to chill and chat because, we're just going to have a fun time, just talk. And
yeah,
I mean,
once we get going, the ball will be rolling.
Yeah, like it's in the title. Like a topic I thought would be interesting is just to talk about the Game Awards. Like
We're gonna start with the most important one: best esports coach, because that was a thing.
Yeah, I mean that's all. Yeah,
But
Also, thank you to Slightly Foxtail. Go to store.slightlyfoxtail.com and you can get some merch. And soon there's gonna be some fun
Track
holiday
outfits?
stuff.
Oh,
Yeah, like
you mean like this?
no, what is? I mean, related to, I guess, in a way.
Did I get this from the Slightly Foxtail store? It fits.
No, you did not.
No,
That is
no.
not a
This is lesser quality material. But if you bought something from the Slightly Foxtail store, it'll be much higher grade quality. So expect that.
That's a pretty good quality Santa hat, though, because like the one I have is like a very, very thin. Like they got like the material, like they just got the sheet, cut it out, put it together, and that's it. Kind of like the Grinch.
Oh, like the Grinch.
Yeah,
To this day, I still don't know how he did that. He cut out a blanket and then he sewed the two blankets like this together, and it turned into a hat.
It was thick enough. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, but this is
Also, if
actually
you hear
my-
some loud booming, I apologize. There are neighbors that may be driving by that are pretty loud. But also, on that note, although right now it's calmed down, I think there isn't really a problem. But there was like a kind of heavy wind and rain today.
on fire and earth.
Yeah, fire because California. But if no, it wasn't. But so in case of anything, if there are any hiccups or anything with the stream, that may be why. But anyway, yeah, it's funny the Game Awards. That was longer than, wasn't it? Didn't it end up being like 5 hours or something like that?
I think it was when we did the pre-show. It was like 5 something.
They
hours.
always call it a pre-show, but it's just part of the show.
Oh, absolutely. Whenever the pre-show is, we're going to start with awards and games, then it's the show.
Yeah.
Like when the pre-show to an award show has awards, then it's not a pre-show. The pre-show is supposed to be like, all right, so what do you think we're going to get today? We're going to be talking about best flight simulator of the year, which is probably going to go to Microsoft's Halo Infinite.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty cool. I mean, like we had fun, like watching it, and like things were happening.
Yeah.
Like,
Is there anything in particular that really stood out to you?
I think one that comes to mind is definitely was it Hellblade 2? That trailer where it was the gameplay, but like the graphics were phenomenal.
Yeah, they looked really good. Then, like I said, though, really what we were watching was like a giant baby crawling after people that were throwing spears at it.
Yeah.
They walked one way and then they ran back the other way. I'm assuming the game probably has more to it than that. But what do I know? I've never played Hex Sword 1. So.
Yeah. And I know it's like a.
Is everything you fight like giant monsters like that? Is it like Shadow of the Colossus?
No, I don't think it's like that. There's just. What kind of game is it?
I don't know, because I was the way it looked, I thought it was going to either be a stealth type game or maybe like an Ubisoft, like Ubisoft style. I thought it was going to be something like that, or I thought it was going to be like a Souls game.
I think it's like a Souls game.
But the fact they were like running away and like 50 people were throwing spears at it, I wasn't sure.
Yeah, I mean, it also isn't like strictly just like, because I don't really know the story. I just know that definitely is one that like it's like one of those like it's very cinematic, but also just action.
The thing that whenever I saw it, because they were like, we have to decide which way to go, and she had like this community of people walking with her. Like for people that didn't see, it really is that it's a lady's walking, and she has this like small community with her, and they're going through this into a cave, and they're like, we have to decide which way to go. And they go around in this giant monster thing that comes crawling after. So they start throwing like spears and like they're I guess trying to hunt it, but they're throwing like fire weapons and stuff and just trying to remove. And they're running back to their like this small fort that they kind of are luring it to, throwing stuff at it.
Yeah.
But while they were explaining it and they're like, we have to decide which way, I thought it was going to be a game where it was you as that person and like you had to decide which way, like paths to take. And that could end up causing, it'd be like Oregon Trail. Like I thought it was going to be something like that, but it was going to be in a 3D space and you're actually having to like fight and deal with consequences.
No, I know it's definitely not like that. It's definitely more action based, but it's like, but yeah, I just thought that the trailer, like the gameplay for the new one was just insane. Like how high quality it was. Like the graphics were just like insanely real. Like didn't feel, even the transition from like what was like more of a cutscene to like actual gameplay was very smooth. Like you couldn't tell sometimes when you would have to start moving, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess the way you could tell is like when there's a specific position like the camera takes and it's like, okay, now the character's ready for me to move, you know? Because that kind of happens in like I know in like Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, like that would happen where like it's very cinematic and it's almost like you're watching a Star Wars movie. And then all of a sudden, then, you know, the camera will come back and it's behind the character and like the character's like in the position, like, okay, move me.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it looked really cool though. I'm excited. Oh, the other thing I just remembered, there's the Wonder Woman game that was announced.
Oh, right. I forgot all about that.
Yeah, because it wasn't like, didn't show anything.
It wasn't Batman, so it wasn't memorable.
Yeah, all it did was just show like, oh, this is Wonder Woman. And
yeah, Wonder Woman Arkham Asylum.
I mean, it might be connected. I don't know, but it's from Monolith.
Well, I don't know if it's connected, but if it plays the same way as like the Arkham games, I'd be down.
It might, but it's from Monolith though, and I think they did a game that's more like it'd be more like Dark Souls or God of War or like the new God of War.
Okay.
So I think that has potential to be cool because like you have something where like you're getting new weapons or upgrading weapons and then like doing some really cool combos that are I don't know, that like feel heavy, I guess.
As long as it's not like the second Wonder Woman movie.
No, I don't think it'll be. I don't think anything could be.
That movie was silly.
Dude, it just, yeah, that movie was.
I think you liked it.
I didn't know.
Like I thought you defended it first because whenever I saw it, like I watched it with Shar, Kirk, Aaron, Eric, and a couple of their friends, and I just remember it being like just everything was so silly.
I think the thing that was against was like some criticism that people were taking. They're like, no, that doesn't make sense. I don't see any of that there. But like, as for the movie itself, it was.
To without spoilers, just to give a concept for people, the opening of the movie, there's a scene where she's basically, the entire floor of a mall is basically a slip and slide, and she's just sliding around everywhere, like knocking things. And the whole time it's like, what is happening? It's like, that's why I said it's silly. Like it's not like it's everything is poorly directed or filmed. It was just everything that she did seemed silly.
Yeah, I mean, I'd argue.
Like,
I'd argue in terms of direction.
Well, no, but I'm talking about whenever I talk about when I'm talking about the film, though. Whenever I'm saying it's being silly, I'm not talking about the
I get you.
I'm talking about the actual physical acts in the movie. They were all really silly.
Yeah, because it definitely. I know even the director, she had like talked about how they're really trying to make it a bit more like the original, like the TV show. So like,
Sure.
not the original, but the TV show, where like
I know what you
it's
mean.
very, yeah, very I guess campy. That's like the
Camp?
word.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, no, yeah, that I don't think it'll be. I don't think the game will be like that. I have a feeling the game, from at least from the that like teaser thing, it seemed like it's gonna probably be like a like God of War, but it's Wonder Woman. Like,
I worry with it being Wonder Woman of the all characters because we're sadly it sounds weird to say sadly, but we're in an age where stuff is more progressive. Everything's supposed to be moving forward in a positive way for trying to push for equality and things like that. More bringing in more of everything for everyone. But the problem is there's people that don't understand that, and they're just like, oh, we gotta put a lady in the movie. She'll be the main character in the game. And they'll just be like, make her do girl stuff. And I'm just like, what? Wonder Woman is a cool character, but I'm worried they're going to be too worried about the fact Wonder Woman is a female and not that Wonder Woman is already a bad A hero on her own.
yeah, I mean, I think from what it seems like, if it does just like probably take place on like Themyscira, that wouldn't be an issue. Like, it'll just be some adventure.
She's like the strongest, physically strongest person in their Justice League main group.
Yeah.
So they don't need to try and make her cool. She's a cool character.
She's really cool. Like, that's the thing. I think, I don't know. It seems like it'll just be a cool, like, mythological adventure, then
it would be like God of War.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, literally fighting, like, even if, like, let's say Ares is like the main villain of the game, it's like, oh, it's like God of War. You're fighting the Greek gods.
Yeah, you're right.
But I think it'll be cool. I think I don't know. I have a feeling it'll be fun, like adventure, like not hack and slash, but that kind of game, like that action.
And then Chris Pine possesses a guy.
Dark Soul. Oh yeah. There's some questionable ethics with that whole thing.
Yeah, there was a lot of questionable ethics with that part.
I know.
Holy crap, but that's
yep, but that's the movie.
Silly.
That's the movie that exists out there. But yeah, I mean, also if it is somehow like in the Arkham canon for like the Arkham games, then like it would make sense that okay, this is the Wonder Woman game where it would just be like her in her world and not you know what I mean? And maybe reference.
I don't want the crossover. They can acknowledge like,
oh,
I hear the Joker got out in Arkham. Like there's some random person that'll be like,
yeah.
But I want Wonder Woman to have a Wonder Woman game, and I want it to do well because honestly, that's the thing. I gave up on the DC movies, and it's so easy for people to be like, oh, you're a Marvel fanboy. It's like, no, the DC movies suck. I watched them because I wanted them to succeed. I actually like DC more than Marvel.
Yeah,
but their movies were garbage tier trash.
Like there was no consistency where, like there was no clear direction. Zack
Snyder.
There was a direction, but there wasn't. The problem like, is
there was one direction.
It was one person's like depiction of what they would want DC to be, versus like with the Marvel movies, the MCU movies. It was generally, oh, this is what everyone knows these Marvel characters to be.
Well,
so let's do that.
And Kevin, they have Kevin is like, all right, we need this movie to come out, and this is the order they need to come out in. So let this, and this can happen. Beyond that, make it work. And then he trusted his teams to make whatever happened. The DC movies, there's a lot of times, like Suicide Squad's a great example. They were unfortunate enough that Guardians of the Galaxy and Deadpool came out around that time. So like, oh, it needs to be more, raunchy, weird humor like Deadpool. And we need to have the music in the background like Guardians, and it's all such on the nose music.
And there was even like, it wasn't even like at that point then. The studio themselves didn't trust the person who was like in charge of it, which was Zach. Yeah. So then they just meddled with everything. Well, I mean, Zach had like his own set. He had like a tunnel vision for like what he saw. Like, oh, this would be cool to do. Like this kind of DC.
He makes too much dark, gritty styles for me. Like I liked 300, but even that, like his actual style he wants things to look is very dark, gritty, and I don't like that aesthetic.
Yeah, it's understandable. Like I know what he does well is at least like visually he's able to like make something look like it's from, like, it looks like it's from the comics. Like there's the moment in like, well,
Except Lex Luthor.
well, there
No, I know, but just go ahead.
okay. So in Batman v Superman, there is one shot that it was just like almost perfect.
Is it whenever he got picked up by bats and flew out of the well as a little kid?
No.
Good.
Although visually that is an interesting thing, it just was wacky.
But as far as a movie goes, it was effing stupid.
But even like that, like having like the opening where it's like tied into Man of Steel and like the way that was
that
done,
part was fine.
it was cool. Like I think, I don't know, and there's even like some concepts where it's like, okay, like the idea of, well, we're gonna get into like, let's not get into like the Zack Snyder. My point is that he had like he had a specific vision, but like the studio didn't trust that because like that vision wasn't like a broadened one that like all audiences would generally be like, okay, yeah, that is Batman, that is Superman, versus like the Marvel, like, yeah, I mean, that is Iron Man. Like everyone knows that is how Iron Man is or whatever, and you know. But anyway,
when 2008 Iron Man came out, a lot of people didn't know Iron Man.
Yeah, but I mean, like, even generally, like, even people who did know Iron Man, it's like that's widely accepted that is who he is. Like, it's not like this one specific version of Iron Man that's so different than others, you know.
Yeah. I mean, DC, one of my biggest complaints is usually just dialogue. Conversations in it are boring, and I don't care about any of the characters. And they don't need to follow the Marvel formula of, this is Friend. Friend says funny things whenever main character says stuff.
Yeah.
And people be like, Marvel's got it right. It's like, I mean, it works because the actual dialogue is funny, but it's the exact same conversations between every movie.
Yeah, I think, yeah, and I think that kind of goes into like what might be a con with like the Marvel movies is that they end up becoming more and more like each other as you go on. But anyway,
and saying that though, Shang-Chi came out, and I freaking loved that movie.
I know, I love that movie so much. It's so good.
Oh. And again, it still followed the, oh, hey, I said something. My female best friend says funny things after, but it's still in a way where that's her whole character. It's kind of like a Spider-Man where that's his whole character.
Yeah. It's really, it was just, that was such a good movie. But yeah, so the point is the DC movies had like lost, like they just didn't have that same like planning.
There's no character, there's no charm, there's no love. That's what it is. That's what it is. Because the producers have their grubby fingers all over it. The Warner Brothers company allegedly. They're just like, oh man, we need to make it more like this because this is how stuff is, and it just makes it where it's weird. So there's the assembly line that makes Marvel movies because it really is like following a pattern.
Yeah.
But DC feels like it actually was made on an assembly line.
Although I think the one that really shows that is when Justice League came out in theaters. That was like when they brought in Joss Whedon, and like that literally was, we're taking like the things that people are saying are good and try to put them in this thing that was already someone else's vision.
And they're like, let's not do that. Oh, hey, the guy that made Guardians of the Galaxy got fired. Let's make him do Suicide Squad.
Yeah, which that...
After we tried to rip off Guardians of the Galaxy when we made Suicide
and it's funny
Squad.
because that really felt like, to me, was literally, this is Guardians of the Galaxy if they didn't have to like censor so much because of like Marvel being tied to Disney. Like that's what the Suicide Squad was, that movie.
And saying that, Deadpool 3 is still going to be rated R, which is cool because it is confirmed to be in the cinematic universe.
But yeah, so DC movies lost to blah, 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 and then and that's why it's better to just like, let's hopefully they get the other mediums right. And I mean, the Arkham series was phenomenal.
If I go to animated series, it's going to be DC every day.
Yeah, the animated series. Yeah. Although
everything DC does animated for the most part. Oh yeah.
Although like some of the movies,
I haven't seen any of the recent ones.
Yeah, some of those.
The last one I saw, I think, was the Suicide Squad one, the one after the second Teen Titans movie was the last one I saw.
Okay.
So I'm still behind by quite a few.
Is the second Teen Titans movie that's the Judas Contract one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. But yeah, it's like there too. They kind of got messy, but then now they're starting to do things where it's like not like one big connected thing, and now it's just like stories, either adapting stories or making.
Flashpoint was awesome.
Like I recommend the new what's it called? Superman Man of Tomorrow. Well, no, because it's a really good way to do the origin, and I know you didn't like it, but it kind of reminded me of oh dude, Superman.
No, dude, it's Batwoman.
Oh, that TV show. No, no, but I know you don't like it, but the way that the like Superman's origin being done, like in American Alien, where it sort of does like what Man of Steel does, where it focuses on like Clark and his journey and like figuring out who he is and stuff, and like he's not Superman yet, and it kind of does that the animated movie Man of Tomorrow, where it's kind of like a mix of that. It's like Man of Steel with like some things that are like kind of like American Alien, where like it's about Clark, but then like the way it just pulls it off so good, and then the art style is like so unique compared to other DC movies that have kind of been like that same art style recently, or at least in the last batch, like before recently, because now it's kind of like this like different every time. But anyways, it's cool. But yeah, so I think the Wonder Woman game could be fun because the DC games have been more fun than the movies have, like inconsistent in quality. Okay. But I don't know about the Suicide Squad game because they also showed that, and it was sort of like it felt like the Avengers game, like it'd be repetitive
and suck.
You know what I mean?
That game was broken to crap when it came out.
Yeah, like when we played that beta, like I think what made it fun was simply because it was with friends, playing it with friends. Mm-hmm. But then like even then it's so repetitive where like I think I don't know, I don't think I would ever, because you were able to play a bit of the story, but even then I was like, I don't think I could do this for hours and hours and hours, you know, for a story. Like do some mission, come back to the hub place, walk and do the mission, and it's like the same thing, like the same, I don't know, I just wasn't into it. And I think
at least I see it's got an active player base.
Yeah.
Do you want to know what its peak players were in the last 30 days?
Yeah, what is it?
Go ahead and take a guess.
300.
It's more than that. 1,261.
That's still less than a lot of other games.
Yeah, so that's really bad. But on the positive side, that is a gain of 26.11%.
Is that on Steam?
Mm-hmm.
So I wondered then, because I'm sure a lot of people play it on like consoles, like PlayStation.
I was going to say, if they play it on any, it'd be, I guess, the PlayStation, so they can play as Spider-Man.
Yeah, which Spider-Man now is out, and it was like, I don't know, it wasn't exciting to me. Like I saw the trailer, I'm like, oh, cool, it's Spider-Man. But then it's like they're trying to really make it, because I don't know if you watched any of like the Spider-Man PS4 game, which is one of the best Spider-Man games.
It's fantastic.
It's
amazing. I don't know if I'd consider it one of the best. I just think it's kind of like with the others. I kind of like that Spider-Man.
I get what you're saying. I guess what you're saying.
I like those were all great. Like I can't talk those down.
No. Yeah. Like I think if Spider-Man 2, the game, was made today, it would be that, because it's so like the swinging is so satisfying, the combat's satisfying, and then the story is up there as like, probably if it were a movie, it'd be one of the best Spider-Man movies ever.
The craziest part was whenever, because I went to New York City with Kirk and them.
Oh, mm-hmm.
I was walking around, I was just like, I know this place.
This is Spider-Man.
No, well, it's like I know this area, and I'd be from like movies and stuff, but because there are areas from like the Marvel movie, but there was parts I would see, and I'd be like, I know this from web swing, like swinging through the city, because they like parts that are like 1-to-1.
Yeah,
and it's weird,
dude. So anyways, like but yeah, so in Spider-Man, like Yuri Lowenthal does a good job at being Spider-Man, and even it's funny. So
and everybody that Nolan North isn't.
So then the Spider-Man comes in to the Avengers game, and it's kind of sad where they're like totally trying to ride on like the hype of the PlayStation game, the Spider-Man game, because it's not Yuri Lowenthal, but whoever's voicing him is trying really hard to sound like Yuri Lowenthal. Like really hard.
It makes sense. It's like doing the Batman voices, trying to make it be Hamill and Kevin.
Yeah.
Conroy.
Yeah, exactly. Like Troy Baker, like he's a phenomenal actor and does really good voices.
I mean, he did good trying to mimic both of those voices, but at the same time, you could tell it wasn't them.
Yeah, exactly. I could tell that it's Troy Baker doing Mark Hamill. Yeah, like I could tell it's an impression. And then, what's his name? I think Roger Craig Smith is the one who was the younger Batman in Origins, and I think so. I think he was good enough at being like a younger Kevin Conroy, I guess,
Yeah, I guess he's all right. Like, for the being like a younger Bruce Wayne, it makes sense.
Right, yeah.
But man, there's so many other things they could have, I don't know. They should have got John DiMaggio to be Joker, just be like, what, screw it. Because his is one where it's like in the same style as Hamill, but it's unique enough where you're like, okay, this is a different person.
It's like more aged up kind of, Yeah.
Yeah. Weirdly, like in my mind, if I was like, who would I hire to be the Joker? One of the last voice actors I think is John DiMaggio.
He came out of the grave to make this shindig happen. Like he has like
the thing like, Boomer, get down. So Baird, and you're like, that guy, let's let him be.
He's very intimidating. He's more of he's more of a collected Joker that is totally like plotting something.
Oh,
that's not just like
Joker.
Yeah, like it doesn't feel like he'd be as like about like making it a show entirely, but then like he is still the Joker. Like he's still like psychotic. Like he'll snap.
He's the Joker that's going to beat you to death with a crowbar.
Right. Yeah. Like because I remember from like Under the Red Hood when like he's in the he's still in his cell and Black Mask comes in to try and recruit him. And just right there, he's like, "Can I get a glass of water?" And he gets the glass, smashes it, and slices all the guys' throats. And he's there alone with Black Mask. And it's like, oh shoot, this is like, I don't know. It's just a very intimidating Joker.
It is.
But so the DC games,
Hero podcast.
But the DC games. So I think the Suicide. So anyways, the Avengers game. Yeah, subpar. And then,
DC, this is the Game Awards chat.
Right. And then the new Spider-Man DLC doesn't really help it. And so I think the Suicide Squad game, which had the gameplay at the Game Awards, I feel like is heading down the path of the Avengers game where it'll be very repetitive and not like I don't know. Like you'll do like the combo moves that you could do with like the other characters, I think, but it's just fighting the cannon fodder thing until you get to the end of the map.
I'm not excited for that for many things Suicide Squad anyway. It's kind of it's like whenever they did like the Harley Quinn and the Canaries or whatever, or the Canaries. You know what I meant?
The Birds of Prey movie.
Yeah. Because I saw. Well, the thing is, whenever they first shown like the ads for that, all they shown were Harley Quinn. So I just saw Harley Quinn everywhere, and like they kept being like the Birds of Prey. I was like,
where?
So it's just another Harley Quinn movie,
and that's why they ended up changing the title to being Harley Quinn and
Birds of
Prey. I'm like, what? Yeah.
And they're like, people liked her in this movie, so we wanted to profit off that. But also, look, we made a movie about females. We're not sexist.
Even then, it was just like that. Not even a big deal in the movie. Like that wasn't. It didn't even feel like there was like some kind of agenda aside from like just the general marketing. Like this is.
And that goes back to it again. That's what I'm worried about with Wonder Woman. Of like, because I'm sure the people that make it, like while they're making it, there's probably heart. Like there's people that are making.
It's not to like push anything. Or
But then there's the
just
companies that are just like,
well, yeah, the marketing. It's easy to be like, yeah, like, hey, we got to get audiences and people want
oh,
to.
well, that's the marketing team. I'm talking about like the publishers and producers and like, the allegedly Warner Brothers,
Right. Yeah.
who are just like, it's like that complaint I have with the Star Wars movie with there's the lesbian kiss scene in the one Star Wars movie. You know what I'm talking about? And
There is. I didn't even.
yeah,
The one that. Like, yeah.
the one that
just
happened
like,
in the background, so they zoomed in on it and it was like 240p, like camera of two girls. And that's what, like I said, there's a producer somewhere who is watching the edit. It's like, there it is. Zoom in on that. We gotta get the
gotta make sure people know that this is happening. That way we're not.
Yeah.
That way we're seen as like, that way we get our medal and we did it
we
right.
did it.
And
it's just like, F you.
And it didn't, because especially when it's like something that's so inconsequential, it's like it's just there. Just let it be there.
And if it was like, just in the background, that would have been so much more pure.
Because I remember, so a similar thing.
Like, oh, that was nice.
A similar thing happened when the live action Beauty and the Beast movie came out. People are like, LeFou is gay because, and then like in the movie it's because he ends up dancing with the guy or something like at the end or whatever. And
oh yeah,
and like everyone was making a big deal out of it, and so there were even people who were like trying to boycott the movie for it. I'm like, it's not even. It happens for like a second.
They hinted at the other guy might have been gay, but not him.
Yeah, but even then, it's like it doesn't even change. It's not affecting the movie. Like, what's the big deal?
He's a completely different character now, Ricardo. Don't you get it?
Oh, I didn't know.
Thus,
you mean LeFou, the one who's always like flaunting over Gaston, even in the original?
The fan favorite who's swimming in the pink.
Yeah, what?
Who's just getting women left and right in the original movie, and not with Gaston the whole time, making entire songs about how great and beautiful he is.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't think I don't know if the Wonder. I mean, I hope the Wonder Woman the game, doesn't suffer from like that kind of like marketing or push to like that makes people think.
I just want to be. It could just be. I don't want Kathleen Kennedy to walk out and be like, "We're going to make 117 Star Wars games, all starring women."
Because you know what female-led video game series recently that has been like the Tomb Raider like reboot series, that whole like trilogy has been
the originals. They were good.
Well, yeah, the original, but like the reboot ones have been like just so good at just being good like adventure like games, and like didn't need to have some kind of like push. Like they didn't have to put on like the box or anything about it being like, oh, this is women empowerment or anything. Like you don't need that, because
even the first Wonder Woman movie understood that. They let a man save the day at the end.
No, but yeah, so like the Tomb Raider games, like the reboot trilogy, like was just so cool because I could just play that and just have it just enjoy such a good story, good acting, good gameplay, and I didn't need to be told constantly that she's a female. I literally playing as her, I can tell. You know what I mean? Like, it's not a big deal.
What is the game with the giant robots that are running around and you have like a bow and arrow?
Oh, Horizon Zero Dawn. Yeah.
Yeah, I only seen like the first 2 or 3 acts that I watched a friend play, but I never got to see the rest of it. That game was cool as crap from what I saw.
Yeah,
I don't know if it stays consistent, but it looked really cool.
I mean, I know.
And that's a female protagonist that, again, they didn't have to be like,
yeah,
look, it's a girl. They didn't have to make a Ghostbusters movie and then delete every negative review that wasn't sexist, so they could try and be like, look, they hate women. Watch the movie.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's why I don't think they'll do that with the Wonder Woman game, and I hope they don't. But like, because of WB's track record with like what they did with the movies, and they might. But also, it's like I don't know. Even if they do, I'm gonna play the game because from knowing who's making it and the type of game it might be, I'm already like looking forward to playing the game anyway.
Well, just ask yourself, what did Warner Brothers do to Rooster Teeth?
What do you mean? They're successful now. They have 1 billion other people under their belt.
I saw they finally had an animated short that wasn't at 100,000, and I was like, uh-oh. That was the thing that was keeping that the YouTube side of it alive. Because some of their other videos, they had a video yesterday of like 7,000. I just checked to see how they were doing, and I was just like, that's not good for a
Rooster
9 million
Teeth.
subscriber channel.
For Rooster Teeth.
Yeah. And I'm not saying this as somebody that like hates Rooster Teeth. I'm saying this is a fan since like season 3 of Red versus Blue of Rooster Teeth, that it's just on downhill.
Well, maybe they should make a video game that
isn't Ruby.
Yeah, I don't know what to say about that.
Because they had like 2 or 3 Ruby games, didn't they?
Oh, probably.
And then they had a game where it's like I think you're in like the Rooster Teeth office, but it's like a zombie thing or something. I don't
remember, dude. Oh,
yeah, I don't know a lot of the ins and outs of that stuff.
But I mean, yeah, we'll see. Like because I mean, again, Warner Brothers games though, just a different, there's a difference between that and
they publish Mortal Kombat, right? NetherRealm Studios.
Yeah, and I think they also did Back 4 Blood. But
no. The newest villain, the CEO of Warner Bros.
No, but I don't.
He's just deleting stuff.
That's what I'm saying. Is Warner Brothers, the games are different than the movies. Like I think. I mean, like how they handle even like marketing.
Well, it's hard to get their grubby fingers on it. Whenever somebody's making like a movie, you can have a producer there that's just like watching what's happening and be like, I've seen a movie before. This isn't like a movie. Do this instead. A game, you sit there and you see a guy with like 8,000 walls of code and text, and it's like, good job.
Yeah, go. Yeah, you did it. All right. Now we're making money.
2 girls kissing in the background of the shot.
What is this? What is this number here? What do these numbers mean? Oh, that lets you do this.
Can we take this number 3 out?
Yeah, and then like the whole thing breaks on launch.
Well, if we do that, they'll just keep having weird buffer problems. Perfect. Get rid of it.
All right, perfect. Right. We don't need good internet. Oh, that was Nintendo that did
that. To the point where even Xbox is like, hey, you guys want Xbox Live? And Nintendo's like, sure. And then like, you decided no.
Yeah, I don't know what happened with that.
But I think they have Game Pass on the Switch now.
No.
Or they're planning on it.
Oh, maybe, but there isn't anything like
there were
Xbox
talks
on it.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess one might be in that N64 emulator on the Switch that they're adding Banjo and Kazooie on it, or Banjo Kazooie's on it. So that might be it.
Because Microsoft loves to share.
Which is like, okay, to me, it's like, nah, you want to play that definitively, just play it on Rare Replay on Xbox. So just put Rare Replay on Switch. Anyway,
nice try. They have to let us have Donkey Kong Country then. I want my favorite Rare character.
Well, that's already on there.
No, on the Xbox.
Oh, on Rare Replay. Oh, I see what you're saying. Like a trade.
Yeah, see, I want to be able to play Donkey Kong Country on the Xbox.
Nintendo's never going to let that.
I get my favorite Rare character, and they get your favorite Rare character.
Nintendo's never going to do that. Nope.
No, because they don't share.
Heck no.
They're not as bad as Sony, but they don't share.
No, yeah, because they still definitely. I mean,
they still want to work together.
I mean, looking at like freaking the things that they did for like Smash, like they definitely want to work with the other like.
Well, even stuff companies. When it comes to crossplay.
Yeah.
Whenever they're like, we're going to have a game where they fight, and you see Nintendo's like, yeah, we're in. Microsoft's like, we're in, and Sony's like, wow, we want $400,000 and delete this character.
I'm never gonna. We ain't gonna do work with you.
We want 4 pre-order bonuses that we get it a month early, and we want all of the special. They're like, versus Sony.
Yeah, but so yeah, so I don't know.
It's also for somebody that has a PlayStation 1 and 2 right beside me.
Yeah. It's I don't know, video games.
That's where my hate comes from. Whenever you hear me hating something, it's because I generally like the property so much and I hate what's become of it.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
That's because...
like I wouldn't care if DC was doing bad if I didn't love the DC ideas. And like, I wouldn't complain about Nintendo's on the internet or Sony's like their marketing stuff whenever if I wasn't a
when you know that it could be better, like that there's no reason because there's no reason for the online connection for like something like Smash to be so bad when it's definitely been possible when people who played like competitively have used things like mods to make it work.
Yeah.
So it's doable. You know, when people who aren't a $1 billion company can do it, like, come on.
Yep. Yeah. And that's where my hatred comes. My or not hatred, but my anger comes from.
Your frustration. You're a little confuddled.
It's like people whenever they're like, I hate this band now because their last album was better and this album is not the same. That's whenever you know a band has made it. Because that's like somebody is so passionate about what they want this band to be now that if anything different breaks from the norm and makes it a bad band.
Mm-hmm.
So like that's when you know you've made it as a band, whenever you start getting that feedback. That or your next album just really, really sucked and you need to go back and fix that crap.
This is true.
But generally.
Yeah. But yeah, so
the Game Awards.
The Wonder Woman game. I hope it's good.
I mean, we didn't really hit much
good.
on it, so we can't really judge how it's going to be. Yeah. So instead, we just have to use either like what we know about what has happened, games that exist, or how the climate of the world currently is.
Wonder Woman good, Suicide Squad looks poo poo, and then there's and then there's even going to be that one game it's not tied to the Arkham series, but it's like what's it called? Gotham Knights, I think it's called. And that one also is like you're just doing the Suicide Squad game, but it's just the Batman family. But it's
how many? Because we were talking about the Game Awards to start. How many games from 2021 have you actually played?
That released in 2021. You know what? Let me just. How about I do this? Game release. Hold on. Games released.
Because I'll tell you what I played. I played Halo Infinite. I've played random games we've gotten through like creators, like we did Ranch Sim. I think technically came out. Bus Sim 2020-21 that came out this year. We played that one. But the, like actual titles that came out that people are talking about, Halo Infinite, which just came out like officially like 6 days ago, and It Takes Two, which I played with Shar over at Kirk's house.
So of all the games that have released in 2021, I've played Back 4 Blood and I played Halo Infinite, but the multiplayer. I don't.
Oh yeah, Back 4 Blood. I played that one.
I've watched. Like I've looked at like some of.
No, I'm just talking about that you have played, like that you.
Yeah, no, from like new releases, just. Back 4 Blood, but that was just the beta, and then I
feel like we've all kind of been like that as time's progressing.
Well, like it's not about like not getting a. It's because I
just feel like each year there's less and less games I care about.
It's not about me not. That's the thing. Like, if I could, I would totally have played like Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, but I just haven't. I've had enough games that I've owned or even bought that are like, recently that have like taken up my time of playing them. Like, I don't know. Like Smash. Oh, you know what? I just remembered. Nickelodeon All Stars. The Nick Smash game. Nickelodeon All Stars Brawl. I played that and that's fun. But yeah, I've just been playing games that I've already owned, or even a game that I did start this year but isn't a new one is Final Fantasy 14. So I mean that.
Yeah, and we played so many PS2 and GameCube games lately, and Game Boy Color games.
Well, that was like way more recently, but like even like thinking back a few months, it's been like. I don't know what multiplayer game. Like we played like some Apex this year. We played, I mean, I've been playing Fortnite, and then like we go back to games like Minecraft or.
Yeah, we played Minecraft the other day.
Yeah, or even I don't know what else. Like yeah, as like new releases, I haven't really touched any from like this year, because like there'll be like a game that goes on sale. I'm like, oh, I've been wanting to play that, so then I get that. Like Mario plus Rabbids, it went on sale, and I finally played it this year. And then Scott Pilgrim versus the World, the game, like the complete edition came out, but that game that's still an older game. But
a side effect of TFG is I'm just not as excited about games as I used to be. Like, I feel like generally if I'm playing games, it's to make content.
Oh, I see.
Like, there's not really a time where I'm like, I mean, there's stuff like Halo Infinite. Like, even then, I haven't bought it. I play the multiplayer, and it's like, that's going to be fun to play with people.
Mm-hmm.
But I never really see games anymore. I'm like, oh man, I can't wait to get that and try it out and play it. I never get that anymore.
I'd say I still do. I just
Yeah,
have.
you still definitely get hyped over stuff. And there's
Oh my
not
gosh,
saying
that
there's
was
not
this year.
games that
Sorry, I just.
Go ahead.
Oh, that was this year. Oh, Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1+2. Wait, that was
Going
this
back
year?
again to games for the PS1.
Hold on. Oh no! My bad. It was when they ported it to PS5 and Xbox Series X.
Got it.
Never.
Oh
mind.
right, Skyrim. That's my game of the year.
yeah. I mean,
That's a game I can always go back to.
Kingdom Hearts Melody of Memory. I had a lot of fun with that.
That wasn't this year, was it? No, that was 2020.
No.
Kirk
Wait.
had it when we were over.
Oh, yep. Yeah, that's right. It was in November last year. Oh, wow. It's already a year old. That was, I mean, that was a fun game. Oh, wait. Well, I mean, Kingdom Hearts 3 came out on PC this year. And I played that again, and this time because it was on PC.
That's not a game that came out this year, though.
I know. Yeah, there isn't. No, there aren't really.
Yeah. And that was one of the problems I had with the Game Awards this year, which is why there were like 7 games for every, like there were 5 like people nominated for every event or whatever, and there were like a total of 7 games that appeared on each list.
Yeah.
Because nobody played anything.
Yeah, there was just
like when this one, I don't know. It Takes Two. This one, Resident Evil, Ratchet.
Yeah, it didn't feel as big. I don't know. There weren't really huge releases like that. Because again, I got games that were probably on sale and just played that. Like, oh, we also played like a buttload of like Battlefront 2, Battlefront EA 2. And again, that's also a game that I have fun playing. And like, there's no need to like buy like a brand new game that just released. I don't know. I haven't felt compelled to. Except maybe I'd say Ratchet and Clank. Like, yeah, if I had a PS5, I would get that to play that. But then I don't, so I didn't. And then like, yeah, and then I don't know. I have a lot of games that you can just keep playing that you don't need to.
Yeah, like a game I keep saying it's like Elder Scrolls. I love just running around in those and just effing about and doing probably the things that people don't normally do in those games, which is why I decided to just record myself effing about for those like a couple videos, which were like me playing with a boulder.
Yeah, taking a boulder and like rolling over,
killing everyone in Valkyrie.
Did you also kill a dragon with it?
Yeah, well, because I was challenged by Kirk to kill a dragon. So I was like, all right. So I went around the world pushing a boulder until I got a dragon to come after me.
So dope. Oh man. Yeah. So it's tougher. Like, I guess that's what made the Game Awards this year. Just, it was fun to watch because of like either the moments to comment on, or even some of the trailers for games, because they were exciting. Like some of them, like.
That's the thing with games. They can be a bad game, but I feel like the camaraderie is what makes it fun.
Mm-hmm.
Like our group hanging out and talking.
Yeah. And then, I don't know, just some moments like, oh man, what was I think it was Simu Liu doing that bit with the
Halo Infinite on his phone.
Yeah, I was like, oh, no, dude.
That didn't bother me.
That was too. It was like it was cringy, but it was like, you know what? Because I like the guy. He seems like he'd be chill.
I feel like people have too heavy of a cringe reflex these days.
I think that one specifically though was like, it was fun. It was like a cute thing, but it was also like, yeah, people will probably be like feeling awkward about it or whatever.
Well, here's the thing though, because he's kind of right. Where if the game would have came out earlier in the year, that would have won every award.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, probably. I mean, I haven't seen anything or read anything about like the campaign and stuff other than like people. Same. People have like said that they like it or whatever that I've seen, but other than that, like no details or anything. I don't know anything. I still am interested in buying it. I just am not buying anything right now. Like that's the thing. That's
Yeah.
the only thing I'm not.
Well, and it's December 14th. I'm gonna need to freaking buy Christmas presents for everybody, like my family.
Yeah.
I got, counting my sister's kids, like the ones that the other guy that she's currently living with also has. I have to get, just for them alone, that's 6 people.
Mm.
And my parents and, sister and whoever she's with, and the guy that's here, that's the parents of the other two kids, and then my dad and his family, and there's a lot of people.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm focused on. Rather when it comes to getting games, and they're like, Jordan, what do you want for Christmas? You want any games? And I'm like, no, just give me money. Because then I'm going to use, I'm just going to use that money to buy you guys Christmas presents.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's the thing. I already got my games.
And I was like, and then after I'm done, then I can get like Halo Infinite if I want to buy it still. Or is there anything else?
No. But yeah, I don't know. I think even for like the game of the year and stuff like that, it was like I didn't feel like there was enough like hype, I guess, or again because the releases from this year haven't been like as a huge deal as other years.
Psychonauts 2 was nominated as one of the nominations. I'm just going to use that as an example for Game of the Year this year. Psychonauts, the first one, was beloved by, I was like, I don't want to say a niche audience because there were a lot of people liked it, but it definitely had its niche audience that really loved that series, and they wanted the Psychonauts 2 for freaking ever.
Yeah.
And it came out, but then I never heard anybody mention anything about it. Like, I don't actually know anybody that got Psychonauts 2.
Yeah. I remember there was excitement when there was like the E3 trailer that they were finally making it.
Yeah.
But
and that's because there were people, it was like Shenmue 3. There were just people that knew the series and they're like, oh boy, a new one.
Yeah.
Speaking of Sony.
You didn't really like hear anything. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like there wasn't like a huge impact with the releases this year. Save for Halo Infinite, I think. Seemed like a bigger deal. And it took longer than it initially was going to. But so that's why like for like the nominations for like Game of the Year specifically, I was like, okay, I guess I could see something like Resident Evil win because that was hyped up, and then even like Ratchet and Clank because it's like, well,
Ratchet and Clank, even though I didn't really hear after it came out, I didn't hear anybody talk about it.
Yeah,
but then again, I heard something. Not a PS5 title only because they only sold like 4 of those and then they ran out. So
that was the issue too. Maybe that was the issue too. Is that like not many people played so many of the new releases because they couldn't get the new consoles, and not everyone has a PC. Which would be the other way to get new games.
Except for Ratchet and Clank.
Yeah, but you know what I mean.
Sony does.
Like for the average person who would probably be excited for the awards, but I don't know. And then
Metroid Dread is another thing that was nominated, and I've never even heard of that game.
Yeah, no, that was announced because the Nintendo Direct, like that's where they do their big announcements, really. Yeah. So like it was announced there, and then there was like there was a time where like they'd be like releasing like, oh, here's things that you could get.
When did it come out?
Or whatever.
Because like that was Halo Infinite's problem, is it came out too late to be nominated for anything. Just like any games that came out in January or too old.
Yeah, it just came out. It came out in October.
Okay.
So, that's fairly recent.
But then again, I don't think it actually won anything.
Yeah, it did.
Did it? Okay.
Yeah. It's won. I saw it here. Action adventure, best action adventure. And like so Metroid Dread, they also had like a little bit of like a like they would be on like Twitter like releasing like things about it, like, oh, this enemy's file, like blah, 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 stuff like that. And even
I'm thinking of like the most casual of gamers, who Nintendo they're aiming towards as their audience. People that just sit there and they buy a game when it comes out. Because you know what I mean? Like they're whenever they're like advertising to people, it's like the most casual gamers is who Nintendo generally tries to advertise to. And I don't necessarily expect all of them to sit on Twitter to see all of the cool updates for every game that Nintendo has. But that might just be me. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I think
by the way, never heard of Deathloop either, but I think it was nominated for literally everything.
Yeah, I remember it being at like E3.
I remember mentioning it at E3, but I don't remember what it was.
It was something like, I don't know, you I think it's the one where like you die, but then you can go back like 12 minutes or something. I don't know. No, it's a shooter? What? I'm okay, I'm mixing it up.
Well, it was nominated for Game of the Year. It was nominated for Best Game Direction. It was nominated for Best Narrative. It was nominated for Best Art Direction. Not music or score. I guess the music was doo-doo. It was nominated for Best Audio Design, though. Not performance. And obviously not Games for Impact, because that wasn't that type of game.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Yeah, that was like all the things it could have been nominated for was all except for those two. Which is insane.
Yeah, I have no idea what anything about it really, but it's but yeah, I think I don't know, for the awards themselves, there wasn't really like any specific game I was rooting for. I was kind of like there to, I mean, I know a lot of people are there now. It's become a norm where they have like, you know, the world premiere trailers and all that. But
and I'm there to make jokes and stuff with my friends.
Right, like I was there to just like watch it and see what happens. Like it's fun. It's a fun time. Like, so I don't know. In terms of like the awards, I don't have any, you know, complaints, whatever. Like, because again, it's sort of like with like the Oscars. There's like no need to, because it's like because
they're a joke.
Yeah, like it's gonna be.
It's a joke.
It's gonna be like whoever has. I don't know. It just doesn't feel like they're.
The award ceremonies are all just laughable.
Yeah, there's no. They don't carry a weight, and like in my opinion, like I don't like look at that and see like, oh, that means that this game is better than it is because it won Game of the Year.
Do you know what one of my favorite things was that I saw whenever we watched and as in like actual award that was given, and what it like the thing was, it was innovation and accessibility.
Yeah.
When it was the Forza Horizon, it's just there's somebody that speaks in sign language on the bottom right.
Like literally just pops up on the screen, yeah.
On the bottom right corner of the screen, and she just does sign language for anybody. And I was like, this is great, because if there's kids that like, or even not kids, just people in general that are unable to read or something, and are deaf, they can still experience what's happening. And it's weird because it's a Forza game, so there's probably in my mind not a lot of dialogue, but the fact that this is something that exists that'll hopefully be like a pioneer for.
Yeah, like it could become a norm for any game, and
even like a plugin, like you know how Xbox, like we got the Cortana or whatever, we have this lady that pops up and does sign language for literally every game.
Yeah, I think that's probably like one that really makes it unique, where it's like that they're able to do that with something like the Game Awards, because it still is relatively like smaller of like an event or people who are running it than like the Oscars, which is like Hollywood as an industry. Like this isn't really like the video game industry running it. It's like Jeff Keighley and like this, I don't know, a board of people.
And the biggest joke of them all, the Grammys.
The what?
The Grammys.
The what?
Correct.
The awards for best grandmother goes to.
Goes to Little Red Riding Hood.
Yeah, dude, she has sharp teeth.
Dude, those freaking huge eyes.
Mm-hmm. It's crazy.
I'm not sure what that had to do with anything. I don't know if wolves usually have huge eyes, but my grandma, what big eyes you have? It's like, she jerk. It's like,
Yeah, I mean, I guess because of like when they widen their eyes and it's like, or like at night when it's like the reflective lens thing that canines have. Whatever, we're reading too much into it.
yeah, his freaking Red Riding Hood's grandma's a furry. She's had a fursuit, and she's like, "Wow, Granny, what hairy stuff you have?" She's like, "Yeah, I get it. I'm in a fursuit."
So why does she eat her grandchild?
She doesn't. Well, some versions she does. The original version she does, but that's okay because they save her.
Yeah, that's true.
They cut the wolf open somehow in his sleep, pull her out, and then they fill him up with rocks, and then they sew him back together and they throw him in a lake.
So he could sink. Or see if he swims and if he's a witch.
Then he's a witch and they have to burn him. But he can't because he's filled with rocks.
Yeah. But the Game Awards are interesting.
Yeah,
it still feels like
we'll talk about other stuff.
Because it's well, no, I mean, because it's like they seem like it's like a smaller. It still seems like it's like a smaller event that isn't like.
Well, because really, it is.
I don't know. It's weird. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it feels indie, but it's also not because you do have like gaming industry people there. Like you literally have like Phil Spencer, like you have like or even like Kojima, or even having like celebrities show up. You know.
Mm-hmm. But in that regard, it's still not to this. It's not still held at the same degree, and maybe that's also because I mean, at the end of the day, it's one guy standing on stage, and then occasionally they'll call people up to grab a 130-pound award. And
but other years there've even been like where it's more than one like host kind of thing.
Yeah, I feel like those you usually see more stuff about those though. Like this year, I feel like because it was so pandemic-y and all that stuff, I feel like it was a lot more streamlined and like just stripped down to the bare necessities.
It was coming up after like last year where it was just Jeff and it was like a live stream thing and not at a live like auditorium or theater. So
yeah.
The other thing too was like maybe it could also be because gaming, even though it definitely in recent years has become far more of just a norm, like it's not.
It's extremely mainstream.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, very mainstream now, but it's still. I don't know. Maybe there still is some sort of not stigma, but like.
You want to tell you what it is?
What?
Oh, it's on Twitch.
What do you mean?
If it was a cable, like if it was advertised on like Fox or TNT or CBS or ABC or DEF or GHI or whatever, they're going to hold it. It's not that like TV is still held or like seen as this. There's television and then there's the internet.
Right.
Like if you're an internet celebrity, but if you're an actor, like you're somebody on like the big screen of the TV, then you're an actor. Regardless of the fact that this could be a show that's seen by 100,000 people and this YouTuber has 86 million subscribers, they're a YouTuber. And I think if it was held as a thing on a television show, it's kind of, you see stuff like that all the time, like esports. Whenever like MLG first went to like ESPN, it was held a lot higher degree. And then you see stuff now, it's like, oh, the esports, you can watch them on Twitch. And it's like,
Yeah, I think that's the case. Yeah. We're like things on the internet are like making some sort of, I guess what it's said now, the content the content that's on the internet is still seen as like juvenile versus like you're on TV or at the theater. But even then, it's kind of like shifting to where it's on streaming services, and like that's become like the bigger deal, and like why all these studios and networks are trying to do that. Like you have like the NBC streaming service, Peacock, you have Paramount, you have Disney's own one, and then there's the HBO, there's and then there's Hulu, Netflix, and Amazon Prime, which are like
there's like 100
generally anything. Now? Wait, what?
I think there's like 160 of them now.
Oh, streaming services?
Yeah, hang on.
And that doesn't even count like things like for like anime, which is like with like Crunchyroll or the Funimation one. But it's like, but even then, some of those are on other platforms like on HBO Max or Hulu or Netflix.
Oh, it is now topped 200. There are over 200 streaming services now. At this point last year, there was like 146.
Wow. So even then, like that's kind of changing too. We're like being like on TV, like broadcasted on like a, like on a block or something is not as big of a deal anymore. Or I don't know. I just haven't. I'm sure. I mean, obviously there are people who are still using those, like using TV, because like shows like those CW DC shows, those are going up on TV first. Like
yeah.
So that still is a thing. Like catch it on 8/7 Central. But
probably why that is that CW, the W stands for Warner Brothers, and Warner Brothers owns like the stuff for AT&T, and they own cable services. So they need to keep cable alive as well because that's where a percentage of their money comes from.
Yeah. Yeah, I think well, you know what? I still there still is like a reason to or an incentive for still doing TV. I mean, like sporting events, like still watching like the Super Bowl or the NBA game, NBA or baseball. And
yeah, but a lot of those you can now watch they have their own individual stuff for those platforms. You can get the ESPN one, or you can just get one that's just like a subscription service that's just like basketball or just football.
Right.
And that includes like the live showing of what's going on.
It's just interesting. But I guess like it's still held up in high regard, so it's still gonna look like it's better, than internet, than like it's that this is on Twitch. Like what is?
And you can, and that's the thing, because like if you want, Twitch can be annoying. Like Twitch, as a program, if you don't have a good enough internet, Twitch is gonna suck for you.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a lot of people like especially like us. We're both of our channels are Twitch affiliates.
Yeah.
But only sometimes do we have the ability to have the adjustable slider for people to watch, or to, like say Ricardo streams in 1080p.
Yes.
People that try and watch him, they're going to be stuck at 1080p unless not enough partners are playing, and then that slider will go down to the affiliate level, and then they might be able to click on Ricardo's to change the viewing from 1080p to like 720 or 480 or 360 or 280 or. So they can get it to a level they want. So if Ricardo streams and has max level, people that don't have good internet or even like average internet aren't going to be able to watch his stream because it's going to be just a buffery mess.
Yeah, and that's the hard part where it's like I don't want to. Well, like you don't want to like compromise the quality. You know what I mean? Like,
well, and that used to be everybody had. Every channel had it, and they got rid of it, made it where only partners had it.
Yeah. But I mean, yeah, so I think like that's probably why. Like it's still like on like it's on a platform or like it's on the internet where it's it's almost like it's all still run by people who are the consumers rather than the actual like companies. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
also there's a wild west mentality of the internet. You're not going to watch a show on ESPN and somebody's going to go on there and say like a slur, like, and well, I mean, I guess they could, but you're not going to see like a chat box pop up and somebody's going to like try and sell ESPN bots and then say like a swear word.
Yeah. I mean, there's gonna, that's what makes, I mean, that's specifically with like streaming. What makes it unique is like that real time interactive, like feedback or whatever,
Yeah, like, I remember G4 had that for a while, but even then everything was like heavily filtered, but they still had like bars on the side where there's like a chat, and that you could tell that stuff probably got, but you still saw like people's opinions and stuff pop up. And for the most part, I think they tried to keep it clean and tame, but it was still real time, as close as it could be, interaction on a television.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that's what what's different is like it's still seen as like very like unprofessional. You know what I mean? Even though there are professional streamers, there's like the events that are like for like the esports stuff that are, you know, they're run by like the like companies like, or like typically whoever made a game maybe is running it, or I don't know, like who really runs like the, let's say like the like League of Legends stuff. Would it be Riot themselves, or
well, it depends. So if somebody else has it's kind of like the Overwatch League. Like the Overwatch League wasn't hosted by Blizzard or the Overwatch team. There was a company that just made this league, and they had their own prize pool, and so they were funding it. So they were the company that provided the stuff. So the League of Legends stuff, it depends on if they have somebody that's actually paying for it or if Riot's doing it themselves.
Yeah, so you have like the professionals running something or whatever, but then for the most part, it's still seen as like, well, it's unprofessional. Like it's still like it's still the consumers are running it. Like the people who are actually the ones who play the game are running it, or people who buy the games or whatever. Because like now Twitch, it's not even only games. You know, you have other stuff, but
it's like how it used to be back when it was JTV.
Yeah, so I think maybe that's why like the Game Awards still feel like they're I don't know, the Game Awards still feel like it's an indie thing. It's not.
Yeah, it's in a program that's still in its infancy, live streaming on the internet on a computer.
Yeah,
it's why whenever like YouTube first happened, people didn't understand how valuable that was going to be. So you'd see YouTubers who were, you know, like was it the Lucas guy who made Lucas something, who made that series where he's just like a kid screaming in a high pitched voice.
Oh, Fred.
Yeah, where he's like at a Nickelodeon show. Because they're like, oh, this kid that's
the next step up from YouTube.
Known, yeah.
A TV
it's
show.
Like, oh, you're famous or you're becoming famous on a computer. How would you like to be on a TV?
Because that's when it's official. Yeah.
Yeah. And you still see people that do that are like, you know, that move from that.
Because they did that thing on like Disney Plus, or no, Disney XD, where they would have like in recent
like
time,
Let's Players.
Where they brought on basically people from YouTube to do YouTube on Disney XD.
Yeah, that's exactly. And because now they're on a television, so it's official.
But even then, they still don't do as well as they do on YouTube.
No, not at all. And it's also like it's categorized differently. Like whenever they have it on there, it's like, oh yeah, this is the gaming block or something. Like they acknowledge it as something that's not something television.
Like they make it something niche still.
Yeah,
it's interesting. But because like, going back to YouTube, like that's what made things stand out. That were like, that ended up being like the quality of TV. Like you get like the series like VGHS being a series, or the people like I don't know if you remember like Wong Fu Productions, or
of course, yeah,
or even like the stuff that Rooster Teeth did with like their series, or even their shorts.
Everything, yeah,
you know, that's what made them stand out. Like,
even weird
you're
people,
like a TV show
like,
on YouTube.
Yeah, I think that's part of the reason like everybody's got a podcast now, and even that, you know, the podcast, when you hear people talk about them, they're like, oh, I like to listen to podcast. You don't hear people talk about podcasts as sitting down and watching a podcast. It's always, I like to listen to podcasts. It's like it's a radio show.
Yeah. And people even end up doing that. They end up like listening to it. Like I know somebody had told me that they listen to the past episodes, like, you know, they'll play it in the background. So they're listening to it like you would listen to any other podcast, because it is a podcast. And even then, okay, so this is funny, because then even then, my hope is to still eventually even get like audio versions of these, to put them to have them distributed on normal like podcasting hosts and stuff like that, like so that way it's officially a podcast, you know what I mean? Like that still is,
you have to pay for the freaking sheet to do that, but you
gotta get the stuff. There are different options now, but it's still it's a whole thing. You gotta try.
Generally you're gonna have to pay some type of fee.
Yeah.
Which is bizarre to me. The fact that there's a platform where I can for free put an entire video and like it can be me freaking farting into a microphone and be like, "There's my video." It's like, but if you want to put that on a site where all they can do is hear your butt cheeks touching the microphone, it's going to cost you like $20 a month.
Don't give them ideas. No, there's going to be,
Welcome back to the Fartcast. And it says everybody farting in the microphone for like 2 hours.
Yeah, that's good. Oh man,
I want to bring the TFG podcast back one day. I always say it every time it's mentioned. I'm like, man, it'd be cool, but I don't know what to do with it.
Yeah, I don't know. That's why, like, even for this, I mean, I wanted to do, at least for the most part, like the first few episodes, like have a guest on, whatever. But I mean, but even without a guest, like just to just talk about whatever. And I mean, I was like thinking, I mean, but like what like main topic? And even then, like, where I was like, oh, the Game Awards, let's talk about the Game Awards.
And that's why I told you, I'm sure we'll talk about others, because that's just what's going to happen is you and I will just naturally talk, which is good. I think that's my preference.
Yeah.
Like, I know there's people that like the like Scott Dog is a good example. He likes a formulaic podcast. And GP, they like the idea of something that follows a strict pattern. And
as like a segment, like it's a variety show or something.
As for me, I just like to hear people that know each other talk.
That's the fun of it too. Like, that's why I listen to some podcasts where it's just like,
they'll have like a podcast.
Yeah, where the
Bernie had crazy stories that he'd tell.
Well,
Jeff had insane stories that he would tell.
Didn't they still have some kind of like segments though? Like, I thought, like, don't they have like a thing?
I mean, they might now, but I'm talking like Drunk Tank podcast, and then.
Oh, I see. Yeah, like, I don't know.
Stuff like pre video, back when they had like their audio only podcasts, the Drunk, and that was why they changed the name, because they realized that they couldn't get sponsors calling it the Drunk Tank.
I see. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, so yeah, that's why I don't know. I thought this would be fun to just like, then you just talk, and because even now I'm thinking like, I mean, yeah, we talk about the Game Awards. But like, it's not only
We've
just like,
there's a Wonder Woman game.
It's not simply, no, I mean, but it's not simply just about the Game Awards. We're also just talking, like it led into the whole thing, because it still is on the topic of how the Game Awards as an event is seen absolutely. As like indie or juvenile compared to like the Oscars being on TV every year kind of thing. I don't know, but even then, like, because I mean, even it's interesting because I don't care about the Oscars in terms of like who's going to win or whatever, like, because that doesn't determine the value of the movie to me. But I still watch it because it's just like with the Game Awards, things happen and it's fun to talk about it, and it's fun to even like see it happen live, But
I like the funny stuff that happens off screen, like the Grammys, where they're like, you know what, this year we're not going to stream the best rock and metal performances, because the metal, they don't never there's still all the other categories at the Grammys, they just don't show. So there still is like a best metal, and they just don't showcase that. And then last year they're like, we're not going to do the best rock either. And then they told Avenged Sevenfold they should come because they were nominating them, and they told them to go F theirself, because they're like, no, we're not. If you're not going to stream it, why are we going to go and pay for a stupid award that we might not even win?
Well, I mean, I guess that's a good thing, I guess, with the Game Awards having here's an interesting thing that happened, because like then I think the day after on Twitter or Twitter Spaces, which is where you could just go and like listen to people talk, and Jeff Keighley had one about the Game Awards and like would have people, even if you're just an average like listener, like he would allow them to like say something and like get feedback from them. And so, because speaking on that, like in the like the pre-show where they have like, they still give out some awards or announce winners of awards, and they don't get like the stage or anything. Because you reminded me of that right now. Like even in some of those, like some people have brought up to Jeff about like some of the categories where it's like, wait, if this is supposed to be for like gaming as a whole, like this category is something that should be on there. And one thing they brought up is like, well, yeah, like fighters, like fighting games, that's still such a relevant and big part of gaming as a whole. Like that should be on stage.
They had a best fighting game.
No. They had it for the but it was during the pre-show, or even it was an off
Yeah,
stage.
we saw it in the pre-show.
Yeah, and it wasn't on stage as its own big presentation.
Yeah.
So that, it's things like that, the categories that should be on there. So it's just interesting because the game, even though the Game Awards feel like it's an indie production thing, it still is. At least
it's produced. It's heavily produced.
It's starting to even become a staple where it's the Game Awards is the Oscars for video games. It's not that it holds any weight to me. I think it matters that if this game has best music, that means that game has best music. I don't care about that. I don't care about it forming my opinion. But as an event, I think it's cool to have this I guess validity to video games are a type of medium that it's another medium that warrants recognition of some kind and warrants celebration. Like if they have when they have awards for books, when they have awards for movies, video games are also a medium that I think have now become, I think, mainstream enough, but even are as important are as important as art to exist, to have to have recognition or whatever. So I think that's where I like the Game Awards also, where it's still kind of shine a spotlight on video games as a whole, and because of the production, it still feels it does also.
By the way, we should call it the Video Game Awards because it's not gaming; it's just video games, to be more specific.
Right? Yeah. Because that's the thing too. Then it's it's interesting.
Because then it could be board semantics. Games, card games, hide and seek, tag. Best game to play in your backyard with friends.
But then that's the interesting thing, because then you're gonna have to play semantics and maybe even try and redefine some things. Okay, gaming, when someone says gaming, they're typically referring to video games. But so where does it stop? Because
or a board game.
Because there's also sports. Those are games. And
a sports game.
Where would you stop? So
I just call it the Video Game Awards.
But then I guess you know what I think it is.
What?
Because VGAs are already taken.
I'm gonna call it the.
You know what I mean? Maybe that's why.
The Cyber Electronic Gaming Awards. I don't know. It's just.
Yeah, I don't know.
Or just do something that's completely so I mentioned Grammys, how they just kind of throw it, whatever awards. So metal music has its own awards. And it's got the greatest name ever, and it fits metal perfectly. It doesn't have metal in the name or anything. It's called the Golden Gods Awards. And it's just one of those things where it's that defines metal, because that's something it's something that's either can be taken seriously brutal, or it's goofy enough that it fits any genre of metal.
Right.
Because metal is, depending on what you're playing,
so random.
You're either out. Yeah. Well, that's the thing that's great about it. Because you can have power metal where you're sitting there just singing about dragons and stuff, or you can be black metal and be
or
or you could go death metal where you're just I'll tell you, everything is,
Walk
or
into Walmart. Just whatever. Yeah. So the other but then I just had it in my head. So then there's right. But then because that reminds me of with E3, it's Electronic Entertainment Expo, right?
Correct.
But now I feel like it's just been literally just video games.
I think if you go to even then, because it's closed off a lot. Sometimes it opens back up to the public, and other times it doesn't. So I never know what it is at the moment. But I think the times that it's open, they have like desks to kind of showcase tech, but never anything like
I guess technically it still is accurate because it's entertainment that involves and requires electronics, you know?
Yeah.
Like, but I know like even behind closed doors, they'll have like rooms where like when I went, and I think with the pass like that I had, I could have got in, but I didn't know it was there. When I went at the Nintendo booth, there were like some of those rooms that you go in back there. Or you can't, not just anyone, but select few and industry peoples can go in there, and they had like the Switch before it was announced. Like people were like looking at the Switch and everything. They had that behind closed doors. So like things like that still exists. I guess the tech and like, or like the, you know, electronics in general are also kind of touched upon there. But I'm thinking like, so that's why I don't know. For like the Game Awards, I understand why it's called the Game Awards because I mean, I don't know. I don't see it as like a huge
I still
inaccuracy.
do know. Well, I still do know people though that are like big, like into board games.
Yeah.
They refer to it as like, "What's your favorite game?"
Mm-hmm.
And they'll ask that without thinking about it, and I'll be like, "Halo," and I'll be like, "Oh, the tabletop." I'm like, "What? No."
Imagine. No. I get that. Yeah, for sure. Like I have friends like, you know, they're always playing board games, or like they're into like stuff like there's Dominion, or there's Settlers of Catan, or there's I don't know, Haunted Hill, and whatever it's called, the Hill Haunted House, that game, you know. So yeah, I mean,
They should just make the gaming awards be every kill that Jigsaw had in the Saw series when he does "You Want to Play a Game" or whatever.
oh my gosh,
And it's just those as best award.
yeah.
Or just sneak it in there, best Saw trap, and just like don't acknowledge that was the thing, and then just they like it just goes blah blah blah, and everybody's like yeah, and then it cuts away, and then it goes right back into.
But no, they would
games.
just call those the Jigsaws.
I just like the idea though of sneaking that in, like it's in between like best fighting and family game.
It's silly, but I mean, I guess the Game Awards, because if you have like awards for like board games, maybe just. Wasn't that one of the polls where like you can add that as a category, or like
yeah, but I think that was
whatever?
through Twitch more so than the actual people.
Like I know it was like like, you know, a fun thing for interaction, but I don't. Maybe that could be taken into actual consideration, where they would add that, or have Tabletop Game Awards.
So there is Game of the Year awards.
Wait, what?
There's Game of the Year awards, and that's for board games.
That's what it's called? Game of the Year awards?
Yep. GOTY.
No, wait, what? Wait, where do you see this?
I just looked it up, and then I found. Now I'm looking at the Wikipedia article for the winners of it.
List of Game of the Year awards, board game. That's confusing. Yeah, like what's the actual name of the awards? I mean, there's also American Tabletop Awards. I see that.
Now, how seriously do you think people treat that one, the American Tabletop Awards? Because that's something that's just now starting to become maybe not even mainstream, but it's no longer niche. Like it's to the point now where I think most people knew what D&D were, but now people I think have a better understanding of what.
Oh, no, like
D&D
people
is.
are now playing it like normally, like so casually. Like it seems so casual.
Yeah,
and I mean, and I think like it's definitely become. There's even like a documentary about that, how it's like resurgence and the openness people have now more days, or have the openness that people have more nowadays. Is that still grammatically correct? Whatever. You know what I mean.
people are more open about games these days.
Yes. I think part of that I would even attribute to like how it was, you know, like the whole fad of like 80s and stuff like that like shows like Stranger Things would like have D&D in it.
I think just a lot of people started
cool,
like playing it. You know, stuff like Roll20 existed, which was a kind of a godsend because you could play D&D with friends, and you know, like 3.5 was my first. I knew of it, but 3.5 was like my first D&D, and then I hosted D&D for 5th edition, which was most of TFG's first adventure in D&D.
Yeah.
And that, you know, that's people in California, that's people in New York, it's people in the UK, it's people in Canada. If every group of friends are doing that, you know, stuff like that's going to start growing a whole lot faster. And you get people that are like,
like I think it's even the interest in trying to play that kind of game, because like for me, the first pen and paper I played was Star Wars, was Edge of the Empire, because I was still like, I don't know if I'm gonna, like, I don't know if I would like going like straight into like D&D, but I'm like, you know what, I love Star Wars, so what if I tried that? And I know it also uses those crazy dice that have a billion numbers on it, you know, like that was my thought process.
One of my earliest ones.
And then it and from that was like sort of like a gateway to being like, oh man, like this is a fun kind of game, the fun type of game, like definitely gonna Halo.
Yeah. You would be upset if you knew how much to sell it cost me back in the day.
How much does it cost you?
This cost $21.
That makes sense. Miniatures.
In like 2005.
So it's just it's interesting. It's definitely become mainstream.
But these were game, like, you know, they have sliders and adjustable things on them.
Yeah. That's a hero click, right? Or something like that.
Yeah, well, so it still worked like a tabletop style. It had its own grid system game, but all of the Halo minis you could get, they all had their own stuff on them to help you just kind of keep in mind what their weapons were and how much damage they dealt, how much health they had. Mm-hmm. Because the game was over the top complex. I remember I always wanted the Scarab, but that thing was like giant and it cost a stupid amount of money because it was 1-to-1 with the characters.
Bless you.
So if you imagine this being this big, you can guess how big the Scarab was.
Yeah, like the size of a Scarab would be for that guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think I mean, the Game Awards could have like a category for it, or they have their own awards already for tabletop games.
Yeah.
I mean, there's like games like Tabletop Simulator, and that kind of like
throws that alleviates the need for board games entirely. Not that doesn't get around because everybody loves the feel of a board game. It's going to be more fun to play that way. But the fact that there's board games, you know, but the fact that there's like, oh, you're going to buy this board game. This one board game is like $230, and then there's like 18 expansions for it. They're all like 50 or 60, or you can just download it right here.
Yep.
And it's just like, God, this is gonna screw over the board game industry. But at the same time, their prices can be crazy.
Yeah. No, yeah, that's the issue. Like you go into like a Barnes and Noble, there's the section with board games, and I would want to buy one of those, and I'm like, this is like, I think, what was it? It was like, even like something like One Night Ultimate Werewolf is like nearly $30 for a small box that has the cards, and then when you could just, like what I've done with some friends, we just used Uno cards and the app.
That's a good way to play. Like, that's all you need. Yeah,
that's all you need. But like,
and you can do it with like Mafia even.
Mm-hmm. No, for sure.
Playing cards. You know, like the king is the, you know.
Well, we would have used playing cards, but there's too many of like the same. There's too many copies where it'd get confusing which role is which card. So Uno, at least you have like simply the different colors and numbers, and then like I was just thinking, like a wild card could be the werewolf, you know, and stuff like that.
See, I was saying the same thing. Just make everything one suit, so it's just like Ace through King of Spades or something.
Yeah,
because that's enough for like most of the expansion packs and the base game.
Yeah, but yeah, so I think that's why then Tabletop Simulator is come in handy to just like try new games that you wouldn't otherwise. Like the other day. Actually, it was Thanksgiving. My friend had video called and was like telling me about how him and his brother-in-law, like his brother-in-law brought over, I don't know if you remember Kings of Tokyo, that one. Yeah. So,
Yeah, I do.
and they're like, oh yeah, have you played this? I think you would like it. I'm like, yeah, I've actually played that. But like, obviously I played it on tabletop simulator,
Yeah.
not on, not the actual
Not the actual
game.
physical board game.
Yeah. But it's like, dang, yeah, I would want to play the actual physical game though.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's still, so it's not like I don't think that the actual board game industry will like die out because of tabletop.
No, not because of tabletop sim. No, of course.
Especially
not.
Like even things like with like trading cards, like much
well,
rather use my cards.
I've got a lot of friends. Like if I think of the number of people that do, I've got like a lot of just random friends that just live in my city and stuff that are board game like freaks. Like, they're like, they'll go to the shop like once a week and get a game, or they'll just be like I'll be at a spot and be like, oh yeah, there's this new big game coming out this month. I'm going to make sure I get, and you go and they'll have like my best friend Lucas's wedding when we went there. There's somebody who was there that went, actually, weirdly enough, he went to college with me and I kind of knew him, but he served in the army with Lucas. So he was also in the wedding, and we went to his place, and he just had this whole basement, and the whole wall was just aligned with like, it looks like it'd be like a shoe rack for like a shoe cart, somewhere where they'd sell like shoes, just like tons of shoes, but it was nothing but board games, and it was just pile and they're just huge. And then when we were in New Jersey, Jeff has these huge boxes of board games. He's like, yeah, those are like $300 each, and I have no idea how to play them, so I haven't opened them. And I was like,
yep.
Like I just looked at it, I was like, I want to get this open and I want to learn it right now. But but like the manual is like a freaking phone book.
Yeah, like even just that's the other thing too, the time that it takes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the worst.
Like I could imagine, so like a game like what was it, Dead of Winter? Like, oh, that'd be so cool to play the actual game. And I've seen the physical game at like Barnes and Noble for however much. But then realizing, oh wait, because you remember how many pieces there were, how long it would take to set that thing up, and then remember what each thing does.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I was just to say about the rules is there's a reason that there's so many house rules for board games. Like there's a reason that Uno has like 4 rules, but everybody's got their own set of rules.
I know, and even then Uno put out like an official statement: no, you cannot stack this or whatever, and people are like, what? No, it's like, well, Uno themselves said it.
Yeah, it's like, well, it doesn't matter what Uno said it, but and that's the thing is it becomes home. But that goes back to then you see, that's with a pamphlet as your guide, and then when you see a book that's like this, it's like nobody's gonna get these rules right.
No,
that's the best thing about D&D. I love that D&D starts with these rules are not required. The most important rule is that everyone has fun.
Yeah, because even then,
beyond that, the DM decides what happens. If they want to break the rules, they can. They're the DM. If you don't like it, too bad. They're the DM.
Yeah, like even in like something like like in the Star Wars RPG, the Fantasy Flight one, where like you technically should only be able to do like 3 things and your turn is done. But when I found that out, I'm like, that doesn't seem as fun as just playing it like you would D&D, where people can just talk and say whatever they want, like however long they want. You know what I mean?
Like,
it's just, and it's fun too.
It's my least favorite part about D&D
because it's just like turn.
Yeah, everything is it becomes a turn-based game and it sucks. It's boring.
Although, what I like about that is that it's still like that's what makes
cool when they get a time to be a hero.
Because but then it's also like that's what makes it feel like give you like the sense of urgency a lot of times too, because it's like if you get damaged or whatever, or you're damaging someone, or like some event happens like where you got it, like there's that I guess like a stress or whatever. It's like, oh no, like I wanted to be my turn again so that I could get out of this, or someone else will like your party member will be like, no, I got you, and they help you, and like that happens, like that urgency and the immediacy that's like in like a very tight situation, like combat, like in D&D. I get like that's what makes it exciting too when you get to, because like think about this, when you're going through like just the narrative, and then all of a sudden then the DM is like, roll for initiative, everybody will be like, oh no, oh no, like things like that. But I get like
That's
it makes
that's
it
always the
feel
fun thing
slow,
to do.
I guess. I don't know. Or
Whenever
quick.
you do this little move, it's where how do I do it on this? Oh, there it is. Yeah, so whenever you're like DMing in person, it usually works better. And then you just do this. And then you just set this down on a table. You don't say anything, you just turn it on and put it on a table. And then they just see there's a timer going and they don't know why.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah. Why
Better
is
if
there
it's
a timer?
counting. Yeah, better if it's counting down because they'll say like 5 minutes or something like. Okay.
For what? Yeah.
Just a cool little DM trick for you if you ever want to use that in the future.
I mean, I've done stuff
even
like
if it doesn't do anything. You just give them a timer, freak them out.
Yeah. That's fun because like, yeah, there were times like in Star Wars where like they'd be on like a ship or something, and
Yeah.
they'd get like they get scared because I would say that there'd be like, I'm trying to think of a moment where it's sort of like that moment where it's like the Darth Vader hallway scene in Rogue One.
Yeah, the
All
scene
you
that tricks you into
see-
thinking it's a good movie.
All you see is the red coming out from the shadows.
Yeah.
Everyone starts running for their life. Like like moments like that, because like there's a moment where the party that I was DMing, they were escaping in an elevator, but then the elevator stopped and started to be pulled up the opposite way.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like freaking out because they thought they were in the clear, but they weren't.
That was when they were running from Vader, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember
So we
telling
call
me
it
about that.
Yeah, we call it the elevator.
Yeah.
Because like, and the fact that like they were all trying their best to save the one party member, but there's nothing was happening. Like they were throwing grenades at him and nothing happened. And so that one friend is still being like pulled in the air towards Vader. And it was just, it's that moment where it's like I guess the opposite of Deus Ex Machina, like where it's like, you can't help it. And that's because of a mechanic in the game, which is called a despair. If you roll a despair, think of like a natural one.
Yeah,
multiplied by 100. Like it's just despair. And you can even, the DM is able to even like save that and can spend it later and be like, okay, a bad thing will happen later. But
that's effed up.
It's no, because then it informs the mechanic that uses the
yeah, but I just know my rolling
points.
style. The DM will be like, okay, Jordan, you have 15 despairs. You just die.
But like the destiny points is where it comes in, because like those are like these coins where you have the light side and the dark side. You always have to keep balance, right?
I remember those.
So you keep balance by spending those. So like so somebody can roll a triumph and spend that, or ask to use their destiny point. If they use a light side point, sure. But then that flips over and the DM now has a dark side point they can use.
Yeah. Okay.
So
that's kind of neat.
Yeah. So it's so much fun because then when the DM uses a dark side point, that flips over to a light side point. So it helps. It goes both ways. It balances like the force.
Do you use all three books together?
I pull from all three because it's like Star Wars.
I agree. I think that's the way to do it too. I was talking actually about just a second ago with the how I just like fighting. Like how that's my least favorite part. And I mean, that can be seen with the last campaign I ran with you guys. Or you weren't there. Never mind. It wouldn't matter.
I died.
But no, you didn't. But you just weren't in You weren't in the midst of Fogmorn.
He dies.
Basically, there's just but everything was based around. I was making it more of like a horror themed map. Everything was like based around like vampiric happenings and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And the main thing with the world was that basically they didn't want to be outside at nighttime between like 8 and 8
Right.
because the scourge of just undead and darkness and everything would just rise up. And I pretty much let them know in advance, oh yeah, you're going to die if you go out there. So just try and avoid. So that was mainly the main thing with the way the combat was working. And that was more them just trying to not be in the area, like to be safely inside of something during night hours.
Right.
So I was still like having like the idea of conflict. Plus there was like a spider cave. They went and they fought spiders in there. And there was like a group of people that attacked them inside like a this hotel place because they were like mercenaries that were on the same quest as them, but they're like, we're going to take the spoils, so we'll fight you. And so there was still combat, but the main like plot of enemies and stuff were built around. I would put them into a mechanic that made more of an ongoing threat that they just had to try and avoid more so than just you used your rebuke again and deflected his attack. Oh, you're going to attack with the pole for the 4th time, and then you're going to roll for your bonus attack and attack a 2nd time. Okay. Like, rather than just having that happen 15 times, they had it more of an ongoing threat.
Right. Yeah, and you could do that, and that's the fun part. You could do that. As a DM, you could do it however you want.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
and of course, if I have players that want to do fighting, then I focus fighting. But for people that like Kirk that want to explore, I'm not going to make them just fight constantly.
Yeah,
it's not going to be.
And
fun.
Then you can have fun with that, because then something I did was I basically did like a Zelda dungeon puzzle thing. Like, you know, it's an ancient Jedi library thing, but it was like, you could do that, and it's so much fun. This sounds very sadistic, but I mean, as a DM, that's the fun of it. Like the players are like, they try to figure out what to do at this one part of the puzzle, and they didn't realize, wait a minute, the answer was to use this bucket that was in the cell that they were locked in before they started this puzzle. You know, so then they had to like backtrack and go through a puzzle they just solved to then go back to the cell and get the bucket and then come back and solve that next puzzle. Like stuff like that. Like it's like that's a fun thing. You don't even have to use every, like you said, like what, you know, beginning of D&D, like these rules aren't required. The only rule this requires that everybody has fun. Yeah. And so like you just, I don't know, I just want to play again. I just want to play like these games again. But like
I know I keep telling myself I want to make a new D&D series, but again, there's so many other things I'm working on right now. You know, there's so many TFG projects that we need to, speaking of which, we still need more branding. We still have to do something about that.
Oh yes.
Yeah. And like also what? I guess if for the secret project for that channel. Yeah, I don't. What? Well, the secret project's gonna have to be on a different channel. So.
Oh. My mind just exploded. I didn't realize that's what was going on.
Yeah,
okay.
That's why I called it. Well, that's why I made a new channel called True for Industries.
Oh. See, I was confused. I didn't know that's what I thought.
Okay. Oh, see, now I see why you were confused. Yeah.
Anyway.
I think that was an important conversation still. And I think it was still enough where if something happens with it, that'll hopefully be people can go back like, that's what they're talking about. Yes.
But, yeah, no, that's the thing. Like it's the time. And I think that's what was that was pretty helpful when we had, like what's his name, Colin, like helping us with like doing where he was the one DMing, so it's like cool, but like we didn't have to kind of like stress out about, you know, making the time to like prepare sessions and everything, because I still have Google Documents for like this last Star Wars campaign that I was doing, where like prepared for like the next one, like I would do like recaps of the previous session because of how like periodically we would do it. It would be like there'd be enough time where like, okay, we'd probably need to have a refresher, and that was taking up a lot of time, and it just wasn't I don't know, it just wasn't
people
possible.
Would freak out if they saw my lore drive for.
Well, that's the thing, like and that's the lore. Like this wasn't even lore. This is just for like the actual practical
even the individual
session.
Stories.
But then and then there's the lore, and then there's like trying to build a whole world yourself and having to like everything.
That's my favorite part. Like I love
it's fun.
I love building
time, dude.
That's my favorite part, though. I can just sit there and just write, and I do. I sometimes do. So I'll just open a spreadsheet, and I'm like, "What if I went back 47,000 more years? What were those kings? What were their names?" And I'll just start making a family tree and a royal family, and then I just start writing. And then we never touch on it, but I'm just like, now if I ever have like a book, they can find out about it.
Yeah, it's fun to do that. Yeah, like the whole thing with when we did Stars Without Number, and the like when you're like, okay, so where is your character from? I'm like immediately like this light bulb in my head. I'm like, yes. And so then the whole thing of like sagas, like the whole thing, I'm like, yeah, this, and even this, like, you know, these people have their own, like, almost like it's like they're like a religious background thing, but then there's also then the military like power from like the people who.
And then we got to go there.
Oh my gosh, yes, that's the thing. Then we went there, and it was like, yes, that this is happening. Like, but anyways, like, just I don't know. That's the fun part about like these pen and paper RPGs, and so that's why like I want to play one again, but it's just the time, and but even then, like I was ready to do because we still haven't done whatever it was that Tyler was planning, right? And
yeah, we also still haven't done Erendor Arunian's backstory.
Yeah, or even like when he, because the thing I was kind of excited for was like when he would show up and kind of like, because in my mind I was like I wanted to like kind of, I guess, surprise Kriggle, like with like how, because of how much time it's been, like to like be like, this is me now, like you know, like kind of like, you know, well, like have fun with like how different Erendor is.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I was saying where we are timeline wise, because obviously everything's broke. Well, I'm not going to open it up on here right now because I have to actually open through the browser on my desktop because I'm no longer connected to my. Yeah, but basically, where Kriggle has just reemerged back in Dremarin.
Mm-hmm.
So if he were to travel east, he would find the new Arunian clan that is right next to this new clan also set up by Dargon. Dargon, yeah, James' character.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he also needed a new place, and it's like, so now you guys have like two growing cultures together.
But yeah, it would just be fun to be like, hey, like, I mean, I don't want to say anything right now because again, in my head, I was like Eren is gonna be different, and
yeah, I mean, I know what happens with Eren, so
yeah, but even like how he talks, how he. Just everything.
I see how
like
you.
It'd be a different. Yeah,
like lack of bigotry.
Well, yeah, that's part of it. That'd be part of it. But even then, it was a bigotry, but it was more of like just legit, like this prejudice based on his past, and just like writing off like a whole entire people for that, and which is wrong. But
yeah, absolutely. Like, that's his character's backstory.
Right.
That's the point.
Like my point was he would learn to, because going back to that, like meeting Grimgor, like like he would be the person like that would show Eren that like he would be the one to like break
that
away.
Orc aren't necessarily a negative,
right? Like he would break away the prejudice that Eren had, and even so, and that's why I'm excited, because it's like even so much so that Eren would have now ended up with someone of that kin.
Yeah. And how familiar are you with Mortal Kombat as a series?
If
I say the Shirai Ryu, does that mean anything to you?
Is that the... Is that related to Sub-Zero and Scorpion?
Yes, Scorpion's clan or the Shirai Ryu.
Right, yes. Okay. Because I never like followed like the story that much, but I knew some things. And then it was actually funny because it's actually then most recently the newest movie that kind of like gave me more of like, oh yeah, like, and I retained more of that from that.
They still didn't fully touch on everything with the Shirai Ryu and the Lin Kuei. They hinted at what's to happen, but they actually haven't went to the main parts of it. I actually was thinking recently, I know this is completely getting off topic again, but I'm going to go back to it, I promise. The Shirai Ryu were, as far as Scorpion knows, were attacked by the Lin Kuei, led by Sub-Zero, who killed his people while he was away, and then like killed him, and he was sent to the Netherrealm. And then lo and behold, you find out, yeah, and the later games, it's like, oh, that wasn't the Lin Kuei that did it. It was like a sorcerer disguised as the Lin Kuei. And then it like changes up where it's like members of the Lin Kuei hired, I think in the new universe, it was Shang Tsung to do it. But in the old universe, it was Quan Chi that did it. But anyway, they basically made it look like it was the Lin Kuei that did the attack.
Got it.
And then and so that was the whole thing. But it was funny because I was going back to it. I was like, you know, the backstory that I've got written, like as everything that happened for Aaron, is very, very similar to the Shiri Ryu backstory. And not that it's like you weren't at like all this stuff going on. There wasn't sorcerers tricking you and making you think a different thing. There was nothing like that. But it was just the way that I like the beats that it follows are very, very similar. And I was like, oh, this is weird.
I mean, there's like, I think that happens too, where there's like almost like a subconscious like influence from stuff that you've yourself consumed. Like, I mean, like, it's funny because the story with, oh no, that would be for Kiku. That was from like years ago when me and my friend played Smash Bros. Brawl, but would do like almost like a machinima. Like we would like kind of like do like a role playing thing with characters. Like we built custom stages just to be sets for the story. And yeah, like so like
however you run down, I don't really care, but it's
but like even like something where like, oh, like, I mean, you would know because you know the details where like who ended up being the thing, or like when the reveal of who Kiku is, like sure. I used Falco, like you know what I mean, like I remember, so like it was that's where that came from. And then fast forward when I actually made that into like a D&D one shot, then it was like that stuff was coming back to me like, oh yeah, that'd be a fun story to do. And then I try to do that in making an RPG, but that would take a long time because I mean, I don't know, just even like having to for assets and stuff, like I can't do that right now. I have to focus on Boneyard, but yeah, like things like that, like that story, to like be able to just tell that again in like D&D, it was like the perfect way to do it, because it was like you can because again, it's your imagination.
Yep.
So it's like I can be like, I could describe like, oh, this is what it looks like, you know, this is what you see.
There's a man and he's in blue and he goes, Falcon punch.
Falcon punch. No, actually we used, okay, so Toon Link was the younger version that is, never mind, forget it.
The Ocarina of Time Kid Link?
No, because Kid Link wasn't in Brawl.
No, that's what I thought you were saying, like you were using Toon Link as the young version of him and then normal Link as the adult version.
Kind of, but it wasn't
it wasn't an Ocarina parallel.
No. Like it was just for the story.
Yeah, okay.
Because the younger one, yeah, it was just for the story. I don't know. It was just anyways. What were we talking about? Oh yeah. So like that's why then like even then like writing that story later on, or like in more recent years, it was like that was like informed by what I had done like years prior and playing Brawl and doing that. And then a similar thing happened with like or even when there's like when this happens where you'll write something in a story and then there's like another story that's out there that is like, wait a minute, that's kind of similar, but I never even watched that or even never even consumed that. How is this happening? Like, how is like a similar idea present?
Yeah.
And so like, going back,
I do a lot where I'll have an idea and I'll see something else. It's like, oh, that's weirdly similar.
Yeah. So like going back to like, the saga stuff for Stars Without Number, or even when I try like adapting that to like the Star Wars RPG, like the similar thing, like the themes with like the, you know, like the head families and all that. It was funny because like I'm thinking about it now, I'm like, holy crap, like something like Dune did that way before, and I never even touched Dune until like the new movie.
Well, luckily, there's a new Dune game coming out, Ricardo. So says the Game Awards.
Oh, right. No, yeah, I was gonna get to that, but but like that, we're like the, you know, with like different houses, and then like there's like the one big conflict that's happening. So like in my case, like with how I incorporated it into like Star Wars, it was like, you know, you obviously have the Galactic Civil War, you have the Empire, and, you know, rebels kind of starting to form and all that. But then on this specific planet, there's a conflict, and there's like civil conflict within this one single planet, and it's sort of like it's not entirely affected by the Galactic Civil War, but that still is affecting it, because it's like the head families and like these houses are being like, you know, in cahoots with the Galactic Empire. So it's like you have, it's just interesting that like that idea, even though it was like, oh man, this is a cool original idea, it was done before, but I didn't know. Like,
yeah.
what? It's funny, but
that's one of those things you see a lot with music, where it's just like there'll be a song that comes out and there'll be some like obscure band that no one's ever heard of, like, wow, this riff ripped off blah 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 blah's song Butthole Cannon, and you just like hear a riff and it's got like 2 or 3 notes that are the same, or sometimes it's like the exact same line of notes. It's like, it's a really cool riff. I'm sure a lot of people came up with it and are like, oh, that's a cool riff, I'm going to do that. And
yeah,
it's like weird obscure band that played like 2 indie shows. I'm sure they didn't try and rip them off. It just unfortunately happened to be that way, because there are 11 notes, or I guess, because 12 is an octave. So there's 11 total notes, and then they're just at different,
like Dragon Ball Z
pitches.
Budokai using Stradivarius. It was just coincidence.
Yeah,
they
just accidentally used the entire Stradivarius discography for their game. They didn't mean to. They're just hunting high and low.
I love it. So
for people that don't know, Dragon Ball Z Budokai, all of a sudden a bunch of the YouTube videos of people playing that started getting flagged, and like, oh, I guess there's something wrong with third-party content. And it's like, oh, the band Stradivarius is being detected automatically by YouTube's algorithm. Why is that? So I looked into it and they're like, oh yeah, no, the composer just blindly ripped off a bunch of Stradivarius songs and put them into Budokai.
Yeah. And it's kind of unfortunate, because I think now like there was like the HD collection or whatever. And they took it out. Yeah, I'm like, oh. But anyways, so Dune.
Yes.
I want to say something that like, okay, so like Dune.
Yeah.
It's like I never really had like a huge history with Dune, but then I watched the new movie and I was like, oh, because I recognized desert planet, sandworms, and people's eyes are blue for whatever reason. And then, so that's all I knew about Dune. I knew nothing else. And then,
and I played the 1997 game Dune 2000, which was an RTS, very similar in like to the same styles like the Command and Conquer games, like Red Alert and all those at the time.
Mm-hmm. So like,
the new movie came out.
So the new movie came out, and
which I have not seen.
I recommend it. I mean, it's definitely cinematic as heck. Like the shots are beautiful. If anything, presentation-wise, music, acting, shots, nearly perfect. Like
story,
like even, well,
story, dialogue.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
oh, it's all good.
I think it's all good. Like it's almost like
the next Citizen Kane.
No, get out of here. Ew.
Do you even like Citizen Kane?
But like, dude, it's so. I would be maybe it'd be entertained by it, but it's like I don't know.
You had to watch it way back when, and then at the time it's like, oh my god, this is crazy. And from a writing standpoint, it's smart, but everybody knows it.
Yeah, it's just a joke where it's like this is the greatest movie of all time. Okay, like anyway, but okay. So anyways, so it's almost like the Dune movie. It's almost like the Fellowship of the Ring movie, the Peter Jackson movie, where it's like,
Sure.
yeah, this is it. Like this is like this story. Like it almost feels like it doesn't have. I don't find any flaws with it. Like it's hard to find flaws with it, but the difference is because it's even going back to how Dune was written. Because again, after watching the movie, then I went ahead and because I was so intrigued by the world building and the characters and stuff, like I was, or just Dune as in general, like the different concepts. I went back and I kind of like went through and tried to like kind of research more about Dune and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So, and so it's interesting because like even how it was written, I see this is the difference is like with the Lord of the Rings, you have this dark world, but within that you're following this group of people that have like this whimsy about them. They're charismatic, you know, they have charisma, right? And they're kind of brighter. And you're following them through this, you know, they have to face the reality of the world being dark and all that. Whereas in Dune, the world they're in is a dark world, and it's like, you know, it's just dour. But then the characters are also just like real people, where they're just, I mean, they're also kind of somber. So it's like a very,
they're dealing with it,
right? And so it's, and I guess part of that, because, you know, Lord of the Rings, the hobbits are just, they have no idea of how this world works. So they're still themselves, you know, being bright in this world.
Mm-hmm.
But in Dune, it's like everybody's like, everybody's just so somber. So like,
everybody's miserable.
Yeah, everybody's miserable. So it's like, understanding that, it's like, yeah, the movie is a very slow burn. But then you have like the moments, like there's moments where like Leto is talking to he's talking to
I'm not gonna be good with character names.
Paul, the main dude. So Leto and Paul is like the main guy, and Leto's is his dad, like the house of the head of House Atreides. And so there's like a moment where Paul and Leto are talking, and I'm like, yeah, no, so like within this very slow burn, somber, you know, somber character, somber cast, somber world, whatever, like you have those moments where it's like the relationships shine because of that. So so it's very if you're not, oh man, so you have so many things talked about and introduced, like you kind of have to, I don't know, you have to be open to Dune and like the world of Dune. I don't know, like it's very it's not like Star Wars where you would have like very modern like dialogue and presentations of things, you know, like Han Solo like speaking like anyone would speak today kind of thing. It's if you know what I mean, like or you know, he'll say something like even something like punch it being something, well, that's a reference to like people in the 70s when they drive a car or something.
I think people still say punch it.
I haven't heard that, but no,
I still say punch it.
That's because you're a nerd. No.
But whenever I say punch it, I mean at a good, healthy, the exact speed limit.
So like that, where there's like the modernity of Star Wars, that's not really present in Dune. Like Dune feels more like where you have like Lord of the Rings, where they're of like that time period. You know what I mean? So
yeah, like Frodo's not gonna walk up back, yo, what's up?
Yeah, or even like Hobbit, please. Like, you know, when Finn was like, droid, please.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
anyway, but like, so in Dune, it's definitely more like Lord of the Rings.
And the second he did that, there was a producer that smiled and hit that check mark.
Yes, money.
It's like he said,
it's good. And people, we're gonna sell those toys. We're gonna sell those
equality done.
Yeah. But anyways,
representation.
So anyways, Dune the movie, good. So that's my only, like, I guess, history with Dune, is having watched the new movie, and then went back and tried to like look up as much as I could about it, but not that much. I don't think I'll ever have the time to really sit down and like read through the original book. There's more than one, but even the first one alone scares me. So I don't think I will. But yeah, and then it was the game, Dune 2000.
Yes.
So,
Dune. Yeah, Dune 2000 I played I don't know if I played it right when it came out, but it was one of those games. So my library used to have PC games, and I'd go there, and that's how I'd be able to get them. And a lot of games back then, you only had to install the CD-ROM once, and you could play it like indefinitely.
Yeah.
Like and it was like that with some like Sims DLCs and things like that, which is probably why they made them stop putting them there. One of the ones I got like that was Dune 2000, so I played a good deal of that. I preferred. I mean, my favorite will always be the old Warcraft games. Like Warcraft 2 was my favorite, and then StarCraft 1, and then Command and Conquer, Red Alert. Then eventually you get to Dune. Yeah, so I played a hefty sum of Dune 2000, and I didn't really do anything with it since. I haven't seen the new movie or anything like that.
Did you know anything about Did you know anything about Dune, or even like remember anything about like the story or even the world?
I mean, well, so I remember, of course, there were collecting spice was your main resource. I remember the giant dune worms that were like under the ground that would try and mess you up. I remember there were the three main factions. There were can't remember what they were. There was one that began with like an H.
Oh yeah. Let me try to remember. Okay, there's House Atreides. There would be the
Yep, that's the one that begins with the letter H.
The way they pronounce it was.
Well, you gotta remember, if this was like 97 was when this came out, I would have been in first grade, I think.
Harkonnen. The Harkonnen and the was it the Empire? Were they?
And the humans of people.
No,
and the not Terran from StarCraft.
They were.
I can't remember.
They all seem whatever, but yeah.
It wasn't easy as like human and orc.
Right.
I can't remember.
They're all pretty much humans.
There were Nod and Command and Conquer. Well, there was the one that had Allied and Axis, but then the others had Nod, and I can't remember the good guys in that one either. They might have been allies.
Okay.
But anyway, yeah, they hadn't had as far as I know, they haven't had a Dune game since Dune 2000. And should that go into our next story then? Where we're watching the Game Awards?
Then that brings us to the Game Awards.
Yeah, so there was there was this game. Well, remember, so it started out there was a game that was playing, and it started out and it had this big like establishing shot, and there were all these like deserty areas, and everything was like it was like this big open. So we saw it and we're like, wow, this looks like it could be a new Dune game. I was like, holy crap! That I think I was the one that actually said it initially. I was like, is this Dune? It's like, are they making a new Dune? So we started talking about it. I was like, Ricardo and I started getting to the point where we were convinced this must be Dune.
But then why? But the thing is, though, why were you bringing up Dune? Was it because you were?
No, I saw it and it made me think of Dune. There's something about the way I think it was the way like the sand kind of moved made me think of like seeing in the old game. There's like these tiny little out parts of where the worms were under the ground. And it just triggered some nostalgic memory in me. So we're like, oh, it was like this could be Dune. So we talked and then it ended up not being Dune.
Yeah.
Well, then like every game. Like every trailer had some establishing shot of either like a desert or somewhere
or even space,
or space, something that was dirty, or even just one point I think it was just like a forest. And I got to the point where I was just like, every time it popped up, I was like, oh man, here we go, Dune. Here finally got that new Dune game. And then that just became the stupid joke anytime I saw a desert
Dune
shot.
Or was it even like the Even like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre game was like, that's Dune.
Yeah. He was like, oh, there it is, Dune. And then we're just like, whatever, talking and doing the next one. And all of a sudden it happens. A freaking trailer. Actually, before that, Matt even mentions, he's like, was it him or you that made a joke about it's going to be funny when I will Dune into existence, a new Dune game?
Yeah.
And then like 2 trailers later, this big deserty planet. And they're like, oh, this could be Dune. Like, ha ha ha.
Yeah, that could be
Dune. And it started going, we saw like they said something about the spice.
Well, they mentioned spice, but then no. But what caught my attention, what made me realize it is because you literally hear, and I could assume maybe it's Leto, because Leto's the one who mentions this. They say desert power, and I remember that just from the movie, but that's even something like from Dune as like the book and the actual story. Yeah. But he says desert power, and I was like, that's it. This is Dune. This is literally Dune.
Yeah, there's like, oh my god, there's a new Dune game, and that's when I said it, I just kind of sat there. I was like this kind of way. I was like, I'm not gonna say anything, because the second I'm like, this is Dune, it's not gonna happen. So I just sat there and I just kept waiting till they confirmed it was Dune. And I was like,
but I was like, no, this is Dune. They said desert power. They even and spice and that. Yeah, that's funny. And
freaking 20 years later. Over 20 years.
Yeah, but then the coolest thing that makes me interested even more is that it's going to be a 4 times RTS like Civ, like Civilization. So
tactical game.
Yeah. It's going to be like
a grid.
It's going to be like what a Dune video game, what you'd think a Dune video game like should be, like more than just like it wouldn't be like a shooter. It wouldn't be like an action adventure. Though
it's got to be a strategy game.
Yeah, like you could make those, but no, like the whole draw to Dune is that there's like a huge overarching like power struggle of like organizations, like an empire, and then the houses, and then even the I forget what they're called, but the people from Dune, like from the planet.
Yeah, those are the ones I called not Terran because I can't remember.
Oh my goodness, the natives are not. Well, yeah.
I have to. I say I have to play Dune again. I mean, I guess I technically did, because then once the Game Awards were over, remember I was like, I'm done with that, and I dragged Dune over from my other monitor.
Yeah.
Because I do have it on here.
The oh my gosh.
That had to be
Arrakis. That's the name of the planet. But then
yeah.
The what are they? The Fremen. Yeah, the Fremen. They're the ones.
I don't remember that name.
Yeah, they're the ones who like live there in the desert and have the blue eyes from being because of the spice. Yeah. So yeah.
No, the other team that I know is Ordos. That was what it was.
Okay, I think that's
Atriids, the Harkonnen, and Ordos, which are, excuse me, they're from an ice-covered planet.
Oh, okay. It's probably some. I think that might be the. I don't know exactly. I don't know. I'm not gonna pretend.
Oh, apparently the planet is called Sigma Draconis 4.
The one they're from.
Yeah.
But yeah, so so that's funny. It's like I guess, or not funny. That's what's like perfect is that it's that kind of game, because like that's perfect. Like you have the like it's about like the control of these different factions, like trying to keep control of what they have there. Like the Fremen want to keep their home, and then Atreides wants to rule, or they're sent to rule this place, like they're set up to, and it's like by the Empire, and they don't want to rule with like an iron fist. They want to rule peacefully or whatever. But then you have the Empire, and then the other people, the other houses that want it solely for like the power, like to, the power. So they would rule with an iron fist. So you have these factions. It's set up for that type of game. So it's perfect.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's really cool. Like, even narratively it fits. Then like fits more than like an action adventure or a shooter would,
So again, you haven't really done much with Mortal Kombat. Have you ever played any of the side games like Shaolin Monks or any of that?
No.
Because I was thinking of other games that have like overarching stories, and I was like, would be another game that'd be weird to see as like an RTS, and I was like, Mortal Kombat would be strange. But there's like, because the thing is, there's like 50 something characters, and all of them have their own intricate backstories and their own where they're moving towards, and their own, like there's the Spec Ops, there's the Lin Kuei, there's the Shirai Ryu, there's the Black Dragon, the Red Dragon.
I could see it as
Innocence of Outworld, Netherworld, Realm of Order, Chaos.
Well, like as an RTS, you mean like with like even with like big armies and stuff like that?
Well, yeah,
or like a tactics game, because I could see that.
I could see that. But yeah, I'm just trying to think of like other ways that games like that could change. That would be like for what I mean. Because I was thinking of what else could Dune be, and I was like, I can't really think of many other things that would work as like a fighter wouldn't work for Dune. I was like, well, what other games could be something different? I was like, what would Mortal Kombat be? Since we were talking about that. And so that's what I was mentioning. Like Shaolin Monks was a 1 to 2 player. We should do that. We should do Shaolin Monks. One plays as Liu Kang, PS2. One plays as Liu Kang. The other plays as Kung Lao. Kung Lao the Lesser, not the great Kung Lao of ancient times that they talk about, but who wears the guy with the metal hat.
Yeah.
And it's them, and they're just kind of defending the Shaolin Temple, but they're going through the Mortal Kombat eras and like doing different missions. And it's a like a what was it like? I'm trying to think of another game like that. You're just running around and beating up people. It's not a fighter. It's more of a beat 'em up, but like a 3D style.
Is it?
It's kind of it's uber linear open world where it's like you're like walking through wherever. That's what I'm just gonna do all the Mortal Kombat games. That's what I'm gonna do. Well, that's something I've wanted for a long time. I was always like, I would like to do a video because Mortal Kombat's broken up into 2 timelines.
Yeah.
There's the old timeline, which is Mortal Kombat 1, 2, 3, 4 / Gold, and then Deadly Alliance, Deception, and Armageddon. And then there's the new, and I guess DC is also in there, MKVDC. And then there is the new timeline, which happens Mortal Kombat, sorry, which is 10.
Yeah.
Or no, 9.
No, 9. 9.
Yeah, 9.
Yeah.
9. It starts out with the ending of Armageddon and then turns into the new timeline. And then from there it goes to X and 11.
Yeah, because I know 11 like overlaps on that, and then that's where it brings them together, the two, I think.
Yes and no, from what I've seen. I think it's just another resetting of parts of the timeline.
Oh, I thought because the big deal of it was like you would have there would be characters who show up that were from like the first timeline.
So Mortal Kombat Armageddon, actually the opening cutscene of Mortal Kombat Armageddon is every character in all of the games fighting and killing each other and everybody just dying. Like that's the opener. And then at the end of the game, you have your big battle, and everything kind of happens, and it becomes like the big bad. Shao Kahn is versing the elder god Raiden, and they're having this big battle. And then X begins with Shao Kahn being the victor. So Raiden, which is Raiden from the old timeline, is like, I can't let this happen. So he sends a message back in time right before his death to Raiden from the first game.
I remember that.
And he's like, "Hey, stuff bad's going to happen." So that kind of slightly alters stuff. And so this is technically like, it's all the same people, but in the past, but now they're following a new pathway. And then the people in 11 is another past iteration that is now there with them. So it's like there's now three time iterations of the same characters.
Yeah, that's what it was. It was something confusing. I don't know. I just remember that being a thing. But yeah.
And then they fought DC characters, which was weird.
Well, apparently, so like Injustice, when like Scorpion or Sub-Zero or Raiden showed up.
I'm talking about the game Mortal Kombat versus DC.
Well, I was gonna say like when they were in Injustice, apparently to them it was like because there's some like the opening lines in matches where they talk to each other.
Mhm.
So like they mention it like that to them it was like a dream, but it was something that actually happened. So like
Yeah.
in their memory, it's just a
MKV
dream.
is canon. In terms of it's Mortal Kombat 8 or 7.
Wait, we're talking about?
Mortal Kombat versus DC.
No,
is
I'm talking about Injustice. That Injustice is like
Yeah.
canon as like a dream that happened, or not.
Mhm.
Like to them, it's a dream, but it was,
Yeah.
but it actually happened, or something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah. And Mortal Kombat VDC, weird game, and it was, weird also because it was rated T because they didn't want to
Oh
deal
yeah,
with all their.
that's right, because of.
But the craziest thing that they added, do you know who Shao Kahn is?
Yeah. He's the big
Hammer.
the mask, and
So in MKVDC, when he got pulled into the world, he landed in the same spot Darkseid was in. So they got fused into one being called Dark Khan.
of course,
which is Shao Kahn fused with Darkseid.
That's ridiculous.
Which is just an unfair, powerful enemy.
No, yeah. That's totally like that's a huge bad guy. It's stupid.
Yeah. Yeah, it was dumb, but I loved it. Just like I loved this story where all of the Lin Kuei became Batman. This is arcade ending. It was that Sub-Zero was inspired by what he learned from the group. So he brought what he learned and he donned his own cowl and he became like Sub-Zero Batman. Because all the arcade endings are always like what would happen if they were the final victor. Here's Dark Khan.
Of course. Oh my goodness.
But yeah, so that's one of those videos I've actually thought about doing for the longest time, is like kind of describing everything that happened in the old timeline up to where the new timeline starts, just because I've always loved it. And God, Mortal Kombat Deception has a gameplay mode in it, which is you play as a character named Shujinko, who is by Deception, he's an old man. But whenever you start as him as a kid. And it's like you're going through this world, which is it's actually open world. It is open world. And you're running around and you're like collecting items or like stuff, or you're talking to people and just kind of interacting. And if you fight, it cuts into Mortal Kombat, and then you go to like side scroll, like fighting. Like in the kid mode, you can go and you meet like the original Sub-Zero, like the first cryomancer of the Lin Kuei. And then like when you go back later, as you're like getting older, you can meet like Behan, which is the first Sub-Zero, who then dies, and then you meet his brother, who becomes the next Sub-Zero. And but it was just, I always really liked that, and it kind of goes through the eras of when all the Mortal Kombats are taking place, which I just thought was kind of cool.
What game or what platform is that on?
I owned that for the original Xbox.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, it was Deception, and then Armageddon came out, and then after Armageddon, or I guess MKVDC came out, then Armageddon, and then after that they switched to the new consoles and they switched to the new timeline.
Yeah, that reminds me. I'm surprised that there wasn't, because I thought I heard that there was like rumors that there would be whatever the next, like Mortal Kombat or whatever the next like Ed Boon fighting game would be, which people are thinking is like the next Mortal Kombat or an Injustice 3. Like, I'm surprised that wasn't at like the Game Awards, because again afterwards that like recap.
Yeah, you saw Ed Boon was there.
Yeah, Ed Boon was there. So I'm like, then why wasn't there anything about?
Maybe they just don't have anything to say about it yet. Maybe he wants to make sure it's, set and ready.
And there's even another rumor, because Ed Boon's even talked about doing a Marvel fighting game. So there's like another Realms Marvel game, and
then they could finally do it. They could finally make it happen. Marvel versus DC, the game.
That's what he. Yeah, no. That's what Ed Boon had said.
That's what they've wanted to do for the longest time.
Yeah, Ed Boon had wanted to do that. Like, so like another Realms Marvel versus DC, and it would happen. And then like, imagine they could simply just do like the event from way back when they did like Amalgam Comics. So you can do like, just imagine it. Like in the story, like you have like the two brothers that are like representing the universes clashing, and then even in this, because of the story, then you get to have like in the roster.
Wait, two characters like that in Mortal Kombat, right?
I think so.
Taven and Dagon in Armageddon.
So they could do it.
Yeah, they already have the character set for that.
So that's what I'm saying. They do that, and then you have the because this is what happened. It was like the two brothers that represented Marvel and DC in the comics, and then they clashed, and then from that there was to like make peace or whatever. They fused into a single brother, like a single entity, and then
named Wolverine.
So then in the no. So then in the roster, we could have the characters from Amalgam Comics like Dark Claw, you know, who's Wolverine and Batman,
Wolverine and
Iron
Batman.
Lantern, Super Soldier, like have them show up, and then, but then like maybe there's like some character who didn't merge with anyone, and you have to fight your way to bring back
to free everybody.
Yeah, to free everybody from this universe, whatever. And you know,
but it's Ed Boon, and now that he's got the rights to like everything, he can't, because now like the last Mortal Kombat pack, he put in freaking John Rambo.
Yeah.
I hate. See, this goes back to my disdain of like Smash adding non-Nintendo characters back in the N64 to GameCube era.
Well, it's fine.
What's the point now? Where they're like, the PlayStation's going to have Kratos. I'm like, why? And they're like, now we're going to add Predator. I'm like, stop. RoboCop. Stop it.
Jason
Voorhees. Freddy Krueger.
Well, then they also added they added Spawn, and that was cool.
They did. Spawn actually looks pretty cool in there.
And they brought back Keith David to do his voice.
Yeah, he had a really cool trailer. Also, his trailer music was freaking Trivium.
That's dope.
I saw the Spawn thing and I was like, is that Trivium? That's like my...
and it's fun interactions, because then they also brought in Joker, because of course, you know, Injustice. So Joker was brought in, and there's the interaction that Spawn has, and he's like, I don't really like clowns, or something like that. It's like, haha, I get it, Keith David, I get it, because Spawn and the character.
There was when Mortal Kombat versus DC came out. God, that must have been before Deception, because it must have been between Deadly Alliance and Deception, maybe. Well, anyway, because the reason I'm saying that is because there was unless it was in 10, they gave him the thing. Anyway, there was they had fatalities in MKVDC, but they were not. They weren't. Yeah, and the most violent one they had was one that Joker had, where he pulled out like a gun and he goes like, and he holds it there. Oh
yeah, and like it does the bang flag thing.
Yeah, right? Yeah. So yeah, the flag comes out and it says bang, and then he like laughs and runs around in a circle, and then points at him again, and the screen cuts to Joker, and he fires, and you just hear like the head like pop, and it's like you could tell that was violent. Well, then the next Mortal Kombat game, Shang Tsung's a sorcerer and he's a shapeshifter. So his fatality was he turned into a clown, and he did the Joker's full fatality, but they shown it. And I was just, but he did the whole bang thing, and he did the full dance, and then he did it, and I was just like, all right, you got your way, Ed Boon.
That's dope. Yeah,
you got to put in your violent, and then after that, they got to make their own DC games, because they're like, all right, you've shown you can do this. Cool.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, it could totally happen, and I think, I don't know. I think it's possible, and that's why I was like, kind of when I saw Ed Boon at during that Twitter thing, I was like, oh, that would have been a cool reveal, like a new, like either Injustice 3 or it's like Injustice but it's like a Marvel Injustice, like, but it's still called Injustice, you know, do something like that. Yeah, man. That's the thing with like fighting games. It's been more recently where I've gotten back into like trying to actually play them, like be good at them, because I never really understood how to play them when I was younger. It would just be like mashing buttons, but then like it'd be like a game like Budokai made it easier.
You didn't learn like the long combo. Well, see, that's the thing. I actually have always liked 3D fighters more than 2D fighters. Like Mortal Kombat 1 through somewhat 4. 4 is kind of going to the 3D realm, so I'm going to say 1 through 3 are 2D fighters. It's a lot of crouch, uppercut, and it's the side by side scrolling thing that you're used to seeing.
Yeah, 2D fighter. Yeah.
Like Deadly Alliance, Deception, Armageddon, you could walk in a full rotation. while fighting each other. So it wasn't just back and forth. But
that's kind of like a Soul Calibur or Tekken.
Yeah. So that's like a 3D fighter and stuff like that. I've actually always preferred. And then stuff like Budokai is extreme 3D because you're like,
that's Tenkaichi. I'm talking about Budokai.
I know,
not
but
Tenkaichi.
well, like the original Budokai wasn't 2D though. That was
you could like kind of like move to the side, but it was still like 2D. Like you can like do like the shift like in the feet to like move.
Well, you could completely fly in the air and stuff too though. Like you weren't just trapped.
Eventually that was in 3 where like they had it where you like dash one direction and you could go up, but it's
did
still
Mortal Kombat or did Dragon Ball Z Budokai 2 not have the feature to be able to just free fly up to escape people and then stay up there?
No,
I was thinking that was in Budokai 2.
No, Budokai 3, even in Budokai 3, it was still like 2D, but you can like.
Well, it got to the point where they looked eventually like the Naruto games, where it was like everywhere, like the camera was. But I'm talking about. I thought I remember even the original, even though it was set like this, like that perspective, you could still do a full rotation if you wanted to. Just the camera moved with it. Like the camera.
No, you would do like a dash, and you could like move like this way, and then like. But the camera would readjust to be 2D, but you could like move around your opponent like that.
Okay. Yeah.
Like
that was what I was saying. I remembered.
But that's the game that made it
over traditional 2D.
Well, yeah, because like that's the game that made it easier for me to understand that genre and how to play it. But I would also grow up with I grew up with like I played like Marvel versus Capcom, and then like which was also a mind blowing game, but like. I was never like actually good at it or like fully understood it. And then it was more recent years and like I ended up buying like Dragon Ball Fighters, and I was like, which is a phenomenal fighting game. And that made me also want to try playing more. Like I even played in recent years. There was a time when I think my cousin's husband had brought his Super Nintendo, and we played Street Fighter 2, and I was like, oh, I get it now. Like actually doing like, quarter circles and, stuff like that. Or,
yeah.
So, I mean, and then Injustice, like I played some of it. Like it was like a free.
If you liked how that played, you'd like Mortal Kombat.
No, yeah, that's the thing. Like, so I was like, I want to play Mortal Kombat again. Cause like, I know, like now I know like more or less how to play it.
I said you'd like Kotal Khan.
Oh, I know. I already know who that is.
Okay.
Because because of who he is. I was like,
what's his species? I think it's like Aztec is what I think they're called, the Aztec. Because of course they're not, because they live in Otherworld, like Shao Kahn did, but as their own, a representation of the Aztec people. I think it's Aztec.
Aztec, yeah, I see that Aztec.
Yeah, rather than Aztec, and it's he's like a lot more like he's known for being his I guess respect to following rules and stuff like that, and generosity and things. He's one of the new characters I actually liked.
Yeah, because I like him too.
I see, because I had like a huge, and so the way that whenever they did the time skip, they went back. I mentioned in Mortal Kombat 9, they go back in time and they're like, okay, here we are now in Mortal Kombat, which is they play through 1. They basically do game 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah,
and then the end of it shows Shinnok, who's the main bad guy of 4, and it's like, okay, cool, we're gonna do 4 next, and then the next game starts and you beat Shinnok immediately, and then it says 20 years later, and I'm just like, oh well. That sucks. No, and that's why then all of a sudden you start seeing characters like Cassie Cage and Jackie Briggs, and it's all that stuff. And it's like, well, that sucks because now we're 20 years in the future, which means now we're past 4, Deadly Alliance, Deception, Armageddon. Like, as far as this timeline has gone, the original timeline, they've already surpassed that in time.
Right. Yeah.
And we missed it.
But maybe
so
not.
It's like. Well, and that's the thing, because there's occasional times where they're like, that's the other thing I didn't like much about Mortal Kombat X, is you'll be playing it and it's like 20 years later, and then they'll start talking, it's like 5 years earlier, and then they'll show a spot, and then they don't tell you it transitions back, it just doesn't, it's like 5 years later, and it goes to like in the future, and it's like, okay, they need to stop.
So then imagine then throw in time travel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 11's the only Mortal Kombat game that I have not played the story. I played I went when we went over to our friends during the pandemic, because Shar and I were like, we stayed with them.
I think that's when I first saw Kotal Khan, and I was like, I want him.
Yeah. Yeah, so we stayed over at, well, he was introduced in X, but we stayed over at their place because there was like a possible chance of like an outbreak there. So because the four of us had been by each other, it's like, okay, well, if so, we'll all stay together. So we just stayed with them for a few days, and they had Mortal Kombat 11, so we just versed each other in it. And
okay.
Yeah, so it was me, Shar, and then our friends Jeff and Rachel, and
we played. But
the versus mode was fine. I liked it, but I just got to the point where I was like, I don't know if I really like where the Mortal Kombat storyline's going anymore. Because they're bringing in the new blood. There's all this new cast of characters, and
it's kind of like what the Marvel movies are doing now. It's the new blood. And it's like, okay,
yeah,
like, you don't have the original 6 anymore together, but
this is one of those things where like Liu Kang, they keep trying to find a way to get rid of. Like Liu Kang is the main character in the first game, and he's the chosen one. And then Deadly Alliance, they get rid of Liu Kang, and then he comes, and people are like upset about it, so they bring him back in Deception. But then Deception, the main character is Shujinko, the guy I told you about, who's like goes from a kid to an old man, and nobody liked Shujinko. So then Armageddon, they introduced 2 new characters, which are the brothers Taven and Dagon.
Right.
And they kind of fight up to that point. But then, of course, because we got launched back in time, they no longer are up anymore, so they can't be them. So you start with Liu Kang again. And then they made Liu Kang turn into like an evil specter at the end of that game. And then the next game, he's not really a main character. And now they're doing the time thing in 11, so Liu Kang is back. So they just keep... They're like trying their best to be like new lead character. Like I think Cassie Cage is supposed to be the current main character.
Cassie Cage is like a big deal in 11. But they still bring back Sonya, and they still bring back like Johnny.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing I hate, because I hate Johnny Cage.
Yeah,
Johnny Cage, his whole character is he's just an a-hole, and he never suffers the consequences. I mean, I guess in the original 2 movies, I guess he does, but in the game series, he never like suffers the consequences for it. He always just gets what he wants. And I'm like, God, not only are you just like an annoying character, but there's no penalty. In this game where like literally everybody's dying, you're the one that squeaks through the cracks.
What would you do if in the next Mortal Kombat the main character is Cole from that new movie?
Is Cole?
Cole, the new movie main character.
I mean, I wouldn't be
Young.
upset. I thought it was strange because obviously that wasn't a character.
Yeah.
But here's my actual issue with that, because obviously they want to be like, this is the face of the audience, this is their vessel.
Yeah.
But all of his moves are like defensive, which again was kind of like Johnny Cage, who wasn't in that movie, which makes me think originally they were planning on Johnny being the main character.
But he's going to be in the next movie because they'd like
probably. In my mind, though, I'm like, I bet this originally was supposed to be Johnny.
They had like teased that in the movie, like because I think it was. Yeah, at the end, it was like
I'm just thinking like first draft though.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Like because he had like a similar move set to what Johnny Cage would have, but yeah, my biggest issue with him though is it wasn't that he was bad. I thought he was fine, and I liked his moves. Yeah. But I feel like he took away from the other characters. Like the fact
following him.
Yeah. So we saw Liu Kang, like he said like 5 things, and most of them were him being annoyed with Kano. Which, by the way, Kano, that's the best writing they've ever had for Kano, because usually Kano's just like, he's also kind of like Johnny, where he's a sarcastic dick, other than Kano's are actually like funny quips, and he knows that he's a terrible person and he does get punished for it. But just in this one, I was like, yeah, they made Kano a funny character. They made Kano weirdly likable. And where they hung out in Gary, Indiana.
Well, I think that I think what I liked about it is that like it did like the story for the characters, like, or for the ones that we didn't see much of their story, like alluded to like their stories that I remember, at least from what I remember them being. And then they also, I don't know, when they fought, it felt like Mortal Kombat. Like,
yeah, although there wasn't actually a Mortal Kombat tournament.
Yeah, it was still just like them getting to, or like they were going to be in one, or they were like,
they also introduced
for it.
Characters that usually wouldn't be in the series for another like 4 or 5
like what's
games.
his face? Cabal, right?
Cabal was added. I think Cabal was added in 3. But I mean, like Nadia or not Natasha? I can't remember. That's the vampire lady. She was added in Deadly Alliance, which is like the 6th game.
The one with the teeth.
That's Melina.
Oh, it was exciting seeing Goro. And then I think it was
the smaller of the Shogun or Shokan.
I like saying then like Jax, and then like his whole process of how he got the arms and all that. That was cool.
Jax has always been one of my favorite characters, and they always find new, unique ways to make him lose his arms. every game that it happens, they find a new and unique way to have him lose those arms.
Mm. But yeah, man, Mortal Kombat.
I know. That's the thing. Once I start talking about Mortal Kombat, I want to just keep talking about Mortal Kombat. And you don't really know much about Mortal Kombat, so it doesn't really benefit you.
I just thought of another game series that is a different genre. But it's kind of already been done, though. Like, Halo Wars is the RTS for Halo. But, like, what if there was, like, a tactics, like, like...
Oh, like Gears Tactics, but with Halo?
I guess.
Gears Tactics was actually fun.
Or like a Fire Emblem, or like a...
Well, I like the way Gears of War did it because it felt like, because there's like, it worked kind of like XCOM. But instead of just being like a square and you're hiding around and stuff, it was like a full Gears of War map. Like the map might be like it might take like 20 minutes to just get, as you're just like running and fighting against, like, it'll be like another hole will break open and they'll be like, we got knee hole, and then like Locust will bust out of it and you can throw a grenade into it. And it felt like Gears of War. I was just playing, I was like, this is really cool. This is like a good, it's like an isometric Gears of War.
So I guess it wouldn't really work because it's like, with Halo, it's like, again, like Halo Wars already kind of is sufficient for like a...
The only thing I would change with Halo Wars is free base build. Rather than having like one base and then everything's hooked onto that, I think it'd be cool to be able to just build like Age of Empires style, just build like Fortress, build Barracks, build, and not just like Fortress, and then there's 4 slots to put whatever on it.
Yeah. Or like even like StarCraft, right?
Yeah. Any traditional RTS, StarCraft, Warcraft, Age of Empires, Age of Mythology, Command and Conquer, Dune 2000.
Is there an Elder Scrolls RTS?
An RTS? No. But you know what would make a really, really good RTS? And this is something I thought about like years and years ago.
Kingdom Hearts. I'm kidding.
No. Last Airbender. Imagine like the Earth Nation and like their Earth tanks and stuff, and like the Fire Nation, like their mounted units would be like those big rhino things, and the Earth Nation, their mounted units would be like the ostriches, and the air ones would have like the bison.
It would have to like make sense though, like lore wise, because...
Well, I think it would, because it'd be stuff like they'd have scouts, and it'd be like an airbender with like the just the glider.
Well, no. What I mean is like when in the time period was there like, would there have been like wars like that or battles like that?
Well, the 18th Avatar.
Yeah, I know. You could just make it.
Yeah. I mean, because that's the thing. That's what's great about that is there's.
Yeah. They can still be in that world and do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. What the heck? They should do that. That'd be cool. That'd be really cool.
And like
my gosh! You know what else?
What?
If it? Oh my goodness!
Because I'm imagining all the technology, like the hot air balloons and like the big tunnel, like the train tunnel digger thing, like this wall siege and like the walls of Ba Sing Se.
Ba Sing Se. There is no more in Ba Sing Se. Well, I'm thinking if it were like some new time period in that world, like some new time period, you would have like, okay, if it was like the avatar of that time, how would you implement some way to like be that avatar?
He's a hero unit.
But
every
like,
RTS has a hero unit. Command and Conquer's got Tanya.
Or like Raynor
Warcraft has
in
Grom,
StarCraft.
Grom Hellstrom. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, okay. Oh man.
Yeah,
That'd
I
be
always thought that
fun.
Avatar would be a great world for an RTS.
That'd be
You just choose
so
one of the 4
fun.
factions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. It's all set up. You already have factions like the 4 nations. Oh man. Or
And it's like all of the nations
5
divided.
factions. You have the White
Oh, there you go.
Lotus. The White Lotus.
Yeah.
Like that'd be cool. Like that order, the Order of the White Lotus being something.
Not to be confused with the Order of the White Lotus in Mortal Kombat, which is a group.
Of course it is. Of course it is. Mortal
Kombat is the ultimate display of Westerners trying to understand Eastern culture and throw it all into one game. That's like the idea of ninjas. Like there's only because everybody they use the ninja term very, very loosely.
Mm-hmm.
Scorpion is the only person who by definition is a ninja. Hanzo is the only one who's Japanese. Who's
right.
Like the Lin Kuei are Chinese.
Yeah. That's
and then like a lot of a lot of the other ones like Ermac, he's from Otherworld. He's not even a
Ermac.
He was a weird one. They've changed his story so much because originally he was the Red Ninja. He was the red palette swap.
Yeah.
And now like Ermac's story is he's like a million souls of dead warriors that have all been fused into one body.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because they needed some reason for why he flew around and shot green stuff out.
I'm trying to think of another game series.
Yeah,
that's a defined genre, but as like a different genre entirely. Like, because I think it's really cool that
first-person shooter.
Okay, I
guess you get Twisted Metal.
Yeah, exactly. You just get Twisted Metal. Because I think it's really cool that they even though it's with like rabbits, like they worked out like Mario as tactics. With
that game blew my mind.
It's so good. I still gotta finish it. It's so good.
That's another one of the very rare games I'll see like the Switch and I'll be like, you know what? You did good, Nintendo. And it's because it shouldn't have been that good. I remember again, it was one of those things where, they shown the game and I was like, this is stupid. And then they shown the gameplay and I was like, this is stupid. Then I saw the game, I was like, what the heck? I was like,
it's really good.
Like XCOM, but they found weird ways to use like the Mario characters, like their own movement styles to make it work.
There was a little glitch for a second, but it's fine.
I saw that.
It's even tough a lot of times. Like there's a boss that
they did a good job.
It's really confusing how to beat them, but I don't know. Maybe like
I think a trick is to think of like something either like Huge World or something that's like a shooter. Oh god, you got something. What do you got?
Yakuza.
I was about to say we could turn Yakuza into any genre because there's not a genre that Yakuza isn't.
That's right. There already even is like I only know this because people talked about it way before I even tried the game, but I already know that one of the games is basically like has like turn-based combat. That's all I know. So that's cool. Or even
by the way, I need you to get to that game.
I know. I'm trying to look
because I know one of your all-time favorite video game characters is going to be in that game. Yeah, I'm that confident. But we're not there yet. But yeah, Yakuza's got there's stuff in it that's mini games for everything. There's racing games, there's tower defense.
Oh, you're saying that it would be a character from that game that would become my all-time favorite.
One of, yeah.
I thought you meant like one that already is my all-time favorite is in that game somehow. And I'm like thinking, no, exactly. Imagine immediately in my head, I'm like, this fool? Like what? What's Banjo gonna? What? Why is Banjo in there? He just shows up.
Just walking up.
Welcome, me die.
God, freaking Char sent me a video yesterday that the Pro ZD guy. Listening is just sitting there and it starts to play Baka Mitai. Have you seen that?
I don't think I've seen that one, but I know him.
I'm sadly looking at his computer screen and you hear Baka Mitai starting. It's like, like the build up, and it does like the big intro thing. He's just sitting there kind of sad. And then the stupid goofy voice starts singing Baka Mitai and he just turns to the camera. And I was just like, I was like, I hate this.
I love it.
I love it, but I hate it. I think that's what I said. I said I hate this. I love it, but I absolutely hate it. Yeah. God, Yakuza. That's another really good series.
But yeah, that could be like either tactics or like, I don't think it could be an RTS. But I'm trying to think.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Thinking of like Call of Duty. That's a game you could make anything. You can make Call of Duty into like
Command and Conquer
RTS.
already exists, Jordan.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Except Command Conquer's, fun.
There's a game that I have on Steam that I got in like a bundle. It was a while ago. It was in a bundle from like from Humble Bundle, which now is yucky. No, but whatever. Anyways,
well, they have yucky business models.
Yeah, it's messed up. But anyways, what is it called? Company of Heroes. And I think I had started it, but I haven't. But I remember
Company of Heroes. Yeah.
That's the thing too. Yeah, I kind of want to play more. Fan. Yeah, I kind of want to play more RTSs.
I mean,
but I know.
I've been trying to get.
How do you get Dune 2000? I want to get to. Is that multiplayer?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, we can play up to 12 players.
Oh, okay, cool.
You want me to send it to you right now?
Okay, after the podcast.
Well, because that's the thing. So the reason the game works and is it's not abandonware. Sorry, it's freeware. So the companies that had it are like, we're done. Here's the code, the source code. Like the companies that made these games gave out the code so people could then have the game forever because they're done with it. There's nothing else. So it was the original Command and Conquer Tiberian Dawn, Command and Conquer Red Alert, Dune 2000, and then they also have Command and Conquer Tiberian Sun, but that one isn't in the group yet. They're still trying to make that for it.
Oh, I see.
But it's one group that then they got the code, and then they just have their own CNET, which is basically their online service that's just constantly running, where there's people just playing Command and Conquer Red Alert constantly all day. So that's just like really cool. The online servers are still just going all times. And it's got the campaigns on it. It still has an active player base.
That's awesome.
But so imagine
into my head right now. We'll pop into my head right now.
Imagine how good those guys are.
So like Dune 2000, like we can like stream it or whatever. But then like if you obviously you'd record it also or whatever.
Yeah, because I'd like to get all of this.
Because I mean it's, I don't know, what popped into my head was like for like a thumbnail where it's
Kirkworm coming out of the ground.
No, well, that's one. But I was thinking, like, I mean, we Photoshop our eyes blue, like
my eyes are blue.
No. The whole eye turns blue. Anyway, so RTSs are fun. I want to play more of them. I want to play more fighters. Well, I have Dragon Ball Fighters, but yeah, it's fun games. And
see, this seems like an excuse for me to do more stuff with RTSs and more stuff to do excuses with Mortal Kombat. Just like, no, I got to show Ricardo every Mortal Kombat game. Not every. I could pretty much tell you everything from like 1 to 4.
That's a lot.
And if you play any of them, then I'd say 3 is probably the one of that series that really got the formula down the best for like the fighting. But my favorite is Deception.
That sounds deceitful.
Yep. And I liked the oh yeah. Oh god, I have to do crypt stuff again. So there's a thing in the Mortal Kombat games.
Yeah, I know about the crypt and like.
Okay.
And like,
do you know about the crypt monster?
No.
So in Deadly Alliance, there's like weird sounds, and you'll occasionally see somebody run by in the background while you're doing crypt stuff. And the later games, they thought it'd be haha funny to have jump scares in the crypt. So you might just be buying stuff, and like 10 minutes will pass, and then a face will just appear of like this thing that pops up from underneath to like attack you. And I'm just like, so it's like, it gets to the point now, so I'll play the games, I'm like, God, I gotta get stuff for the characters, but I'm not going in the crypt. I'm not gonna do it.
That's funny. Well, just like Mortal Kombat, you gotta do a finisher. And I think right now is the opportune moment to give this Podconius a brutality, not even a fatality.
Not a friendship
I guess you could do a friendship
or a babality.
No, we don't do babalities.
Have you seen all of the different things like that, like babalities and friendships? And
I know of those, but I haven't seen all of them.
babalities are funny, and I just like the friendships because the little thing pops up above and it's like, let's be friends.
Yeah.
And harakiri, which read in Deception, which is like, if you don't want to get fatality, you can kill yourself first.
That's so stupid.
So like Kenshi's is like a seppuku where he gets down and pulls out his katana, but then other people are just like, they'll just sit there and just be like, or like this one.
That's the thing. Mortal Kombat, as like violent or dark as it could be, it still like has so much humor in it.
Oh, absolutely.
It's so,
also, Molino
so
like featured in Playboy. The Tarkatan lady that wears pink with the huge thing. The article for her was in Mortal Kombat Deception as one of the unlockables in the crypt. And I remember seeing it, I was like, did I just get a Playboy issue in freaking Mortal Kombat? And I just like clicked on it and was like, oh, it's just a Molina thing. All right, that's cool.
But yeah, so anyway, I believe it's time that we finish the Podconius episode. It was
fatality.
I don't know. Maybe the title would be just games or the Game Awards recap. But like, I don't know, because we did talk about it.
Yeah, well, we talked about gaming.
All right.
We talked about DC and Marvel.
We talked about a few things.
We talked about 40 years ago nerd lore, and now all super modern stuff that everybody knows.
It could be like it could be like the Game Awards and the history of gaming.
One of my cousins, he has a whole arm tattoo, which is every Mortal Kombat character.
That's too much time. That's too much time.
He's one of the people that made me really get into Mortal Kombat. Him and my uncle, which
that makes sense.
I'd like to see them again, but it's just it's hard to see them now. They work and they live. I don't know. It's my dad's side of the family. I just don't really see him as much.
Well,
yeah.
Hopefully one day.
So everybody, make sure to call your family. Let them know that they matter to you. Let them know they're important and that you care about them.
We advocate for love.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, have a. Thanks for watching.
Fatality.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching, and we'll see everybody next podcast episode. Finish him.